update also features a collaboration with one of the best footballers in the game, Neymar Jr. For a limited time, you can pick up several Neymar-themed items in the store. Gear up and score big. There's also a reduction in the number of multi-care packages on tag just games, new workshop skins, and more. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 20.2 is here, so fold up your shield, pack up the dossier, and go catch a ball game. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
是的，我觉得我在这里面一票都不应该有。
I picked Norkis. He's like not playing a lot, but he's a great player in my opinion, and I think he will perform well.
我为什么选小叮当吗？因为每次看他直播的时候，他一直在打，但学技术学不来。
I picked X left because every time I tune into his stream, he's playing.
그 선수 이제 엑시레프트 선수인데 선수가 이제 다른 게임을 해도 이제 배그 폼이 죽지 않아서 좀 재능충이지 않을까 이런 생각을 좀 많이 했습니다.
因为这是大家公认的。
感想还是挺诧异，因为我感觉大伙都有点曲解我这个人了，因为我是一名很努力的选手。其实我打别的游戏时间不是很长，都是适当的赛前放松这样，也不会就是去沉迷啊、痴迷别的游戏这样。就来这次这里参加 PEC 还是非常开心的，我也非常期待就是比赛上和大家的比拼吧。Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. OK, 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 OK.
不要的吗？黑人了。Who's the best looking player?
My boy.
Because they just walk through everything. Yeah, that's my jitsu. Yeah, take the mask down. There you go.
Gustav diyorum çünkü gerçekten çok karizmatik.
애초부터 마음 먹고 있었어요. 또 저희 팀 얼굴 마당이라서 이 친구가 要有自信一点，然后就要投给自己。
Just look at the man. Yeah,
the best looking player is my boy right here, Mr. Mime Time. Can we get a zoom in? Zoom in real quick.
Thank you.
I guess Danish people look a little bit too good, and maybe our hair is also a bit too clean. How I feel about that, I mean, honestly, like, I don't really care. I mean, Clip is beautiful, and I know that, so congrats to him.
I don't really care about winning this, but I guess it feels okay. And it shows that shows that I have a good choice as well. I voted for Gustav, so...
I voted for Clip.
See?
We are very excited to play here, and we have a very good feeling. Also getting second now feels really good. No, doesn't matter what we get here, but I have a good feeling. I don't know about Clip.
I'm feeling very excited going into the tournament. We've been playing online the entire year and actually playing offline now on the bank line as well. It's going to feel amazing, so I'm very excited.
ที่เลือกก็เพราะเห็นครับอยู่ด้วยกันครับเห็นชอบทุบครับ
Adozu'yu seçtim. Birkaç tane klibini görmüştüm. Toksiklik yaptı. Ondan ötürü.
因为这边去年打世界赛砸桌子，那个桌子砸了个洞，那个有图片的。
게임만 하면 좀 성격이 괴팍해지는 경우가 있어가지고 종종 샷건 소리도 들리고 그래서 뽑았습니다.
확실히 100% 인정을 하도록 하겠습니다.
I chose Kickstart because I live with Kickstart. My room is right on the other side of his wall, and I hear him streaming, and he breaks his desk half the time he's gaming. The walls literally shake. Look at this.
不知道吧，我感觉平时我挺和蔼可亲的，可能是因为那种比赛上面就那一两把被别人记住了吧。当时也是那种比较关键的比赛场次吧，然后我们打得很好，然后有能争冠的那种能争冠的那种门槛吧，我们就很激动，所以就很激动的情绪拍做出来的这种事情。我们会争取在这次比赛中卫冕的。谢谢。拜拜。
홀로 살아남기를 전부터 해왔기 때문에 저는 이제 그런 거에는 자신이 있다 생각하고 사실 저는 배고프면 그냥 제 뱃살 뜯어먹으면 되기 때문에 충분히 혼자 살아남을 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Eu votei no Pio porque esse cara sabe fazer tudo e eu acho que ele sobreviveria. Ele saberia resolver tudo.
Я не хочу умирать.
フェックス選手に入れたんですけど、なんか PNC の時も見てすごい見た目が強そうだったんで、この人だったら生き残れるかなと思って入れました。
因为 Pio 是大家公认的老六自由人，他总是把自己放在危险的地方，却又能平安无事。
아직까지 제가 뽑힌 게 의아하고요. 왜 뽑은지 모르겠어요. 아니 그냥 사실 1등 뭐 투표한다고 했을 때 뽑힐 거라고 생각은 많이 못했어요. 은퇴를 했기도 했어가지고 이제 살아남는 선수 1등으로 뽑힌 만큼 끝까지 살아남아가지고 꼭 우승할 수 있도록 열심히 노력하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 초콜릿인가요? 맞습니다.
Yeah.
Here, they would have plenty of room to scout their way forward. They did manage to get out of the compound that they were sharing with Luminosity, so I guess that's a start. That molly might actually be on point too. Yep, there you go.
There it is. Nicely placed there by Code Marco. Underneath the bridge right now. Nobody really looking to third party this. Oh, now Petrichor is.
Great job.
Code Marco.
Don't recall having ever seen that before, but it really paid off.
They're going to stop just off to the west of that wild card warehouse. Meanwhile, TMA going to use that as an opportunity. I think they've read the situation. They know there's two here. Cian's going to find one. Cian's going to find two as Tyloo hold the line.
Now we know there's no one there, but little do we normally know. Oh, no, here's the Kryptonite. The Donut Kryptonite.
Oh boy, yeah, USG, they're going to run face first into some wild cards once again, and just like last time, immediate three-piece on that western edge. Keep an eye on that as Ixlef comes through the smoke. He's going to find 8C, and the AUG will win that fight. And he's going to find another one. Face goes down, and just like that, Petrichor rose. Yes, indeed, and look at Tyloo, they want to get a little bit of piece of this as they are very secure in their spot as United just kind of hanging out in shacks, but the grenades aren't falling for Godmeow, unfortunately. That one will, though, and that should be 2 down.
Whoa.
1 will go down. Rella will stay alive, but there's another one coming. Flood actually just going to, yeah, we're done. That's fine.
Tailu and Petrichor here as well. This is the Chinese magnet, and they all want a piece of this compound.
Everybody, as soon as Wildcard leaves, they're trying to send in Chaitong to take a few shots at the Petrichor road, but look at 17. They're going to find a few knocks there, as now Chaitong down the last player for Tailu, and just like that, Pero is taken out by Show.
Battle tested and good to go. We are here at PGC 2022 for the winners bracket, and the 16 teams that make up this lobby are some of the best in the world. They comprise of the truest, strongest lobby we may have ever seen in PUBG esports history. And now we get to watch them all battle it out in a best of 10 to find out which 8 teams move through into the grand final. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Kyle Laris, and joining me to my left-hand side, 3 people this time for the desk. We've got Toby, we've got Avenger. It's an all-EU desk, even, well, UK, you know what I mean. But anyway, Toby, nice to have you here, as always. How are you doing, fella?
Good to be here. I'm doing amazing, as you said, coming into it. Probably the most stacked lobby we've ever seen in all of PUBG, so what's not to be hyped about?
No, indeed, Avenger, and we've watched as these teams have battled it through out their group stages. We saw rises from excellent teams across the board here, but this lobby is so good.
It's going to be so hot, right? We're looking at just 2 days, a BO10, and if you get a great start, you're going to be able to play quite nicely through the rest of it. 2 games in the first day, and you're pretty much already qualified.
Well, we had ourselves 6 days of gameplay leading up to this. We now find ourselves in the winners bracket. The remaining 16 teams that did not make it here will be going down to that lower bracket, and then from there we then have, of course, our lower bracket 2 into Grand Survival, into Grand Final. And overall, Toby, the format's relatively simple actually. When you look at it, we will have 8 teams advance from here, 4 teams advance on from our lower brackets, and then 4 teams from Grand Survival.
Easy to understand, but going to be incredibly hard to get through if you find yourself down there in some of the lower seats.
Yeah, I mean, even the lower bracket itself, when we look at that lobby, Avenger, is still stacked as well, because this is the 32 best teams in the world.
Exactly, and I'm actually really happy to see these teams that are in this situation here, because already now they're in such much a better of a spot than the guys that are in the loser bracket first, because these guys are going straight into another chance of a top 4, and then they'll still be guaranteed to go into the grand survival after that. The loser bracket's gonna be a whole different story.
And it's kind of grueling. With only 10 games in each of these brackets, I mean, yes, you do get 8 opportunities, 8 teams going through here from that winner's bracket, but 3 Erangels into 2 Miramars, 3 Miramars into 2 Erangels across these 2 days.
Yeah, it's usually when we have these tournaments, it's pretty easy to go out and say who's going to be top, who might not be. For this one, any of these 16 can bring it home.
All right, here's the prize pool overall. This is the base prize pool that we start with, and then from there we will also have contributions coming from in-game as well, Vanguard.
Yeah, of course. We have the 30% that is being added on top of it, and if it continues like it is, some of the conspiracies out there have been first place might be $1 million.
Ooh, lovely. Yeah. Lovely stuff. So that'll be very nice. A good chunk of change for you if you move on through. But of course, even all the way down to through 32nd, these teams will be getting themselves some prize pool. All right, let's take a look at the 16 teams that are making their way here to the arena. And fair to say, what we saw from Group A, especially as well, lots of people, Toby, looked at that as one of the group of death, and we saw Na'Vi prevail on top.
They played phenomenally. Didn't get off to the strong start, but as they normally do, when we doubt them the most, that's when they turn things around, and all of a sudden they made it look like it was easy cakewalk for them.
When you don't pick one of the Na'Vi players, that's where they prevail.
Usually.
That's true, yeah. Oh, now that I've picked Example, they're not going to do
No, it's only when Toby does it.
I had Example on my team.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But I didn't make him. I didn't have him as captain.
The
So maybe
double
that's
negative,
the
maybe.
We'll see. Well, I wasn't very blessed when it came to my Group B choices. Speaking of Group B, though, of course, E-United was able to top that out. But just in general, I feel like the level of competition still excellent in Group B, Martin, when we looked at how they were playing things out.
Yeah, for sure. All the teams here competing, you look at this, and this is going to be insane. It's going to be hard as hell to get top 8 in this situation here. Of course, some teams we might be looking as favorites, but I kind of have a feeling that even if you got top 3 in your group, it's not going to be easy to go through this year. You have to have a good start. You have to have high momentum from the get-go. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind by the world-class teams that are going to be playing in this lobby here.
No, of course. I mean, EU and North America might have been able to top the groups, but you've got to still look at the Asian region as a strong, powerful one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about teams like 17 Gaming, of course, which technically still has that mid-drop spot. Neither SGD or Sonics made it here, Toby.
No one contesting them. An interesting story coming into things. Everyone was looking forward to Shao Bei on land. He wasn't here. Sushu comes through, picks up the slack, and oh my lord, has he been delivering. Of course, now coming into this lobby, things are going to change up, but as you're saying, not contested early on. I'm expecting to see 17 kind of pick it up where they left off yesterday, just farm their way through it.
Quickly on 17 Gaming for me is, I feel like if you have Picardo with Chingy, and being a top contender team, you're going to be going through in the top 8 just with this drop spot uncontested.
Yeah, it's a powerful one. Let's talk about Twisted Minds as well up at the top. It's effectively EMEA's true hope because they are so consistent. What do you think, Martin, coming in?
I think every single tier list I've seen, they've been in the very top, the S tier, the favorites, everything. And honestly, for me as well, they are up there. I think it's a big hope for them, of course, coming into this year. And they have no pressure going into it. They have been feeling good. They've been looking good. Also, fantastic spots, good locations that we've been seeing from. And also, once we get to Miramar, it looks like they're going to have a lot of space around the high ground.
That reminds me, Mr. Toby over here, I'll bring in all the T's, the tier list tyrant. Where did you have Cerberus?
I probably didn't have them all that high. Maybe not as high as they probably should have, but
they did all right, didn't they?
They have been playing fairly well, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, exciting to see how they're going to fare as well. APAC is a region that I think not many of us had huge expectations for, but they've come out of the gate blasting. Well, let's talk about the top 2 at the very tippity top of these groups, Na'Vi and E-United. And Na'Vi, for all intents and purposes, as you said, when you look at their overall performances, either absolute #1, Martin, or we get a PCS7 situation. I don't think we'll be in the PCS7 situation.
No, I don't think so either. What we've seen from 15 games here, competing on a global stage, they are looking poised to go. And honestly, PCS7 could just be a fluke, you know, just be like, all right, we are already kind of through, like, it's fine, it's a but I have high hopes too, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them compete here.
And off of that, the dangerous thing for me about Na'Vi is having seen their bad days, when you're playing a format now where we're constantly resetting, when you have 10 games, if they got an off day today, even with a good day tomorrow, that might not be enough.
Yeah, true. But for Kickstart and United boys, it felt like the majority of their days were good. Yes, I think the last day in Group B, the start wasn't amazing, but they ramped it way back up here, Toby. It was very powerful for me, United.
When people expect them to come out on top, the least they come out and deliver, and they have impressed me. I said it during the cast yesterday. I think that United playing this tournament is the best we've ever seen out of an NA team.
They're so consistent.
They are. For me, though, they are going away from our shelter spot to Milta. Then Yahoo pushed them off from that case. On the other side, on Miramar, they're going to be looting all of Hacienda, all of San Martin, and all of the compounds around. So that is going to be super strong going into Miramar.
All right, gentlemen, well, we're ready to head over to an interview here as we talk to the top teams from each group coming into the winners bracket.
It's an all-EU desk, and we've now got an all-EU interview. My name is Sam, I'm also known as Tech Girl, and I am here getting to chat to all the players. Example from Navi is with me here. Top of your group. Now, lackluster performance, Example, in PCS 7, but then you come here, you top the group. So what preparation did the team do leading up to PGC?
No, there is nothing special. We just played a lot of PUBG.
I'm going to ask you, here we go. We need to hear you, my friend.
Okay, so there is nothing too special. We just played a lot of PUBG, so that we are at high level, and all the needed preparation and analyzing was made by our coach. So yeah, we feel confidence.
You should be confident. You've had an impressive performance, but you've now got to face up against the top 8 teams from Group B. So which team in Group B has impressed you the most?
I would say QM is doing a great job because it's their first offline tournament, and PGC, it's nice.
Thank you so much for chatting to us. Example, I know you want to jump into the server. Good luck for the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
We're now going to head on over to the top of Group B, E United. They're right next door, so come with me. I'm here with Kickstart from E United. You were top of Group B. Friend, I gotta ask you the question everyone wants to know. I mean, do you not think that you were in the easier group?
I don't think so. I think the groups were pretty even, and I think there's lower teams in both groups, and I just think we played well, so I don't think the groups were that much different.
I like that confident speaker. I was trying to give you a bit of a hard time to start it out, but you weren't going to fall for it. Now, coming into winners bracket, obviously a bit of a mix of the teams. Do you think that there's going to be a few contests for drop spots in the first few games?
I think there might be a fight for military base, but other than that, I don't think there's going to be much fighting in the early games.
Who's the biggest threat for your team in this competition?
I think we have our eyes on like Twisted Minds and New Happy, obviously, but other than that, we're not really scared of anyone. Not scared of them, but we think it's going to be fun to verse them because we respect them as a team.
So the desk narrative throughout the group stages is that this is the most open PGC yet, most competitive as well. They're saying that any region can take that. Do you agree with them, and why?
I think the way that the games have been going is like it's less strategical and more of like 1v1 based of like mechanical skill, and I think that's a big reason why like any region can do good. I don't know why that feel like that, but that's just like my opinion, is that everyone is just running at each other and fighting, and the mechanical teams win.
Double chicken dinners every day of the group stages. Is it happening for E United today?
Hope so. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will find out. So there we go. Your interviews are done. We've had a chance to hear from all of the players. And now we're going to get ready to go into game. Let's head on back to the boys on the desk and hear what they have to say as we lead into map number 1.
That's right. Thank you very much, Sam, here as we continue to look at our top 4 performers overall. Day Trader United, New Happy, and Question Mark. Looking fantastic overall, what we've seen from them here coming into the winners bracket. Phil first, in fact, a bit of a surprise when it comes to overall performances here. One of the newcomers to LAN. So let's see if we can continue that in even higher pressure situation as you've got plenty to feast your eyes on with the likes of Ming Ming, Kickstart, and Flash. That shouldn't be allowed to take that name because Flash is an all-important name in esports. But you know what? We'll let it slide for now. All right, let's move on then and see exactly how things are shaping up coming into the final here for the winners bracket. Even I should say, I'm in a different position. So let us first click right there and see what's going on, because we have got some highlights to look at here for going into the winners bracket as well. So if I just do a little cheeky, got it. There we go. New toys, new gadgets. We're taking a look at things. So teams to watch. Let's drag this up here and have a little look at what we've got going on. Boys, we've got New Happy and E United as two big teams coming into this winners bracket.
Yeah, I'm been loving what I'm seeing from New Happy so far. They've stepped up to the case. Ming Ming with some incredible individual moves, and they've been looking really good. Of course, the defending PGC champion right now, Toby.
They've been absolutely phenomenal. People doubted them coming in, so saying, can they live up to the performance they had last year? And I think Ming Ming alone said, you know what? Yeah, we'll be all right. They've been fragging, they've been taking out some of the best teams in the world, and they've done it with ease.
And of course, we've seen them across what we've seen from so far from the games have some insane performances. We've seen them win some games, we've seen them do well, but also I like what I've seen from them macro movement wise. It's not just the individual skill, and I think that's what we're going to continue to see from them. Both clever rotations, clever strategy, but also high individual moves together as a team as well.
For sure. United as well, yeah, the winners of Group B. We heard it from Kick just before. He said it's not so much the strategic plays. You got to go up, you got to take the fights. They've been taking the fights, and they've been coming out victorious.
Do you think they can do it in this lobby here?
Yes, but my worry is that they're looting Mill to power. They're going to be even slower than they were when they had the shelter alpha lobby split and with Prison, so they're going to be a little bit further on the back end unless we continue to see these extreme east shifts and east endings on Erangel.
Let's take a look at the Fantasy League then and how that breaks down for your picks coming into the winners bracket. You didn't have much time to make your picks for the winners bracket. However, people got their teams in, you know. We have got Ming Ming, Kickstart looking strong up towards the top. I don't think there's too much surprise here, Toby, with those being picked so regularly.
Not at all. They were farming, to say the least. I'm actually surprised to see Example not being high up the list than he is.
Very expensive, but always farming damage. I've said it so many times on this Desk Avenger, there is never a tournament, even when they place poorly in PCS 7, where Example wasn't farming damage.
No, it's crazy. It's just he is the ADR farmer. He is the ADR GOAT. But there's a few like interesting ones for me in terms of how many have picked it. But also, I feel like this Fantasy League for the winner bracket was one of the most interesting ones, because there is a really expensive one, because you also have the captain pick that doubles your points, right?
Yes.
So you kind of want to have that carry that you put your captain on, and then you will have still some other teams that can kind of contribute a little bit.
Let's take a look through some of our talents pick as well then, starting with our casters for today as well as Sam. We've got some captains coming on in here. Lots of appreciation for Flood to start things off.
I mean, obviously with Xenox, it's kind of mandatory, but Cam getting him as well now as a representative from NA makes sense too. Actually, Cameron doubling down on NA with Wildcard Pick and United. Love to see it.
Well, both from OCE, so not so much American teams, true, but players not so much. But yeah, Sam also looking good. Uber there as captain, Flood going in. Actually a pretty good team, Tongs and Lou. And yeah, honestly, for what we've seen here, it is looking very different compared to what we saw in some of our group stage picks, because they're very similar across our talent team.
Yeah, I think we've had a decent opportunity to be able to judge how the players are playing back of the last 6 days worth of games. Here are the important people, though. That's right. It's Kalaris, it's Avenger, it's Toby. I'm not going to justify mine just yet. Go on, Avenger.
No, I want to hear quickly what you kind of justified a little bit. Last K, you decided to go back to a Freaks player after you decided to jump off Ian the last time.
Yes, I did
and
do
now
that.
it's back to Lash K. Lash K is also cheap, I understand it. I'll quickly talk about mine. I feel like I found two insane value picks with Spjan and Show, and then I had to go with a kind of a little bit of a lower pick, and then some support here for Perfectus. He was expensive, but still 2,000-3,000 lower than some of the very top ones, and I feel he is a really good value for that one. So I'm very confident in my winner bracket team.
Toby, I feel like if you look at my pick, no one's outside of 5k from one another. There's so much value to be found here. Lou, I mean, either of them could have been my captain. Actually, I think I changed my captain to Clip coming into today, so that might be changed. Clip, I feel like, is the bigger fragger of the bunch right there. Lou was my justification pick in the sense that Twisted Minds pretty much always makes late game. So more time spent on the server, usually always all equals to more damage across the board.
You know how I'm always talking about how I normally go 25, 25, 25, 25. I employed none of that here. And
took your usual logic, you know, like opening the top of your skull through that logic and brain out, and then
what I have
with
is
your
complete
normal one.
blinkers, and I think to myself, example's really good, or I'll just tunnel vision entirely on that and hope for the best.
I think once you have the case where you have some insane players, when you're getting 100 fantasy points and it doubles, it might be valuable, especially now it's only 10 games.
It's extremely potent is the captain role in the current fantasy and how it does stand. 2 times it might be a little bit.
Yeah, 1.5 is probably the sweet spot. But again, it's the first time we see it, so
exactly.
That's why I've been really good at adjusting once we've given feedback throughout the year and throughout the fantasy team. So maybe next time we see fantasy, it might be just a little bit.
I mean, one main powerful strategy would be having, whilst we have the coupon here, please go and check that out. Use that in-game as well. Sorry, we're just so interested in talking about this. So one powerful strategy might be picking your mid-4 players that you think can all potentially pop off and switching your captain constantly. So
you can only do that once, right? And the chance, per day.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like, if you feel like one is going to have a pop-up day, is that going to be a single a day and then it's going to fall off a little bit the next day? So
it's a bit of a gamble as well.
It's a big gamble. I'm really loving the fantasy, and especially how we're pandering off, air as well to each other. So it's going to be really fun to see.
Well, here in game in the Pick'em Challenge as well, we do have, of course, New Happy still very much up there, Petrichor Road.
Wow.
Currently in the lower bracket, but I can only imagine the lower bracket might be a fun time for them after that last game that they were able to win.
We were quite a few who were hesitant in believing in the Petrichor rise to the top of the leaderboard, but as you're saying, they sure did manage to turn things around yesterday, and curious to see how they're going to perform on that. Of course, New Happy, most picked team here, previous victors, and with how they've been performing so far, no reason not to pick them.
And do bear in mind, you don't have to pick just yet, you have to pick
Hold
just
on to
before the grand final.
Yeah, once we're done with the grand final. Then you can put it in and you'll be done. That's there, but make sure you go into the in-game tab, into the esports tab there, and check it out, because there's so much info, still so much contest, and also go in and claim the coupon, but don't use it. Just hold on to it until you know all the 16.
All right, open forum before we get to the game here then. Toby, which teams are you particularly looking out for here coming into this? It's only a best of 10. All of these teams got to perform in a very heavy sprint against the best teams in the world.
I feel like the teams that played yesterday will be off to a better start, simply because there are other teams that have sat back. Yes, they have more time to prep and watch, but when it all comes down to it, they have to deliver. And the guys that came in yesterday, they're going to be more hyped.
I'd love to ask you, Avenger, as well, but we are out of time here for now. We are ready to get the winners bracket underway. So without further ado, it's PGC 2022.
Быть среди лучших игроков всегда захватывающе. Я думаю, что если мы здесь победим, я не смогу описать свои чувства словами.
Việc thua cuộc không nằm trong kế hoạch của bọn mình, vì bọn mình đến đây để chứng minh khả năng của bọn mình. 진짜 게임은 지금부터 시작입니다.
I think it's an obvious result. We played our best.
United come out victorious.
Basically, we sucked last year, and we don't want to do that again.
We are getting stronger, but day by day, and I feel like soon we'll be able to compete with us.
Completely wiped them. Is it going to be enough? Formidable opponent in that winners bracket.
당연히 한 번에 올라갈 생각만 하고 있어요. 이번에도 집중력을 잃지 않고 최선을 다할 겁니다.
Stop him. Slow down
我从来没有想过这个问题，我觉得我们不可能被淘汰。这次我的决心还是冠军，我要从中吸取到更多的经验。
Мы приехали в Дубай только за победой. На этом турнире мы покажем свою мощь.
Na'Vi will take top spot from Group A going into the winners bracket.
Следите за тем, как далеко мы сможем зайти.
The real competition begins now. We head to the winners bracket. We're done with the group stage, Cammy. We've got our best 16 teams from Group A, Group B. They come together now. 8 spots, 10 games to be played over the next 2 days to make their way into the grand final.
Yeah, and the fact that it's only 10 games, I mean, compared to the grand finals, which is going to be 20 games, means they're already talking about it on the desk, right? You really have to come out strong here, but that also means that it's a real opportunity for a number of the different teams, no matter how strong they placed here into the winners bracket, to just punch that ticket to the grand final, because we've talked about this before. Placing top 8 here, in a way, is going to be like a little easier than trying to go through that losers bracket grindstone.
Understanding, of course, you've got those bottom 8 teams, respectively, from Group A and B that are in that losers bracket 1. They have to run that gauntlet. For those that obviously don't make top 8 from the winners bracket, they kind of meet them down there in losers bracket 2, where there's only 4 spots. Then there's grand survival. Winning here is absolutely huge for getting into the grand final. 8 spots, like you said, that is a large amount of spots. It's a large amount of chances here. 10 games means that also if you do start slow, it's not necessarily the end of the world, because there's only so many games to collect a large amount of points anyway, but you do still go fast.
Yeah, that gap won't quite be as large around that bubble era that we saw at the end of both groups. But it does mean that if you have like 2 stinkers in a row, 3 stinkers in a row, you're going to have to come up with something huge.
Certainly will. All right, no more waiting around. Winners bracket begins now for PGC 2022. We've got our 16 best teams here from the tournament thus far. Now they do battle. Now we go to the winners and see what they've got to show us here in the winners bracket.
8 from A, 8 from B. Drop spots have already been contested a little bit. We heard Kickstart say at the beginning he doesn't think there's going to be that much of a hot drop. I mean, at this point, these teams know how risky it is. You only need to look at Sonics and SGD to know exactly why that is the case. And so I think there probably has been some sort of peace treaties between a couple of different teams, figuring out where they can go safely and just worry about trying to fight it out in the mid game, in the late game, where the things have a lot more control, where the teams have a lot more agency in the combat. The one thing I am curious about, however, is going to be this thing around Milta. That's probably going to carry over a little bit from Group A.
Yeah, that might be the only thing that might carry over from Group A. Of course, we got to cast Group A firsthand. The hot drops that we saw there were a large influence really on a lot of those games. That's not going to be the case here for the winners bracket. You've only got 10 games. You cannot be affording to go into any of those kind of hot drop scenarios. You don't really have the time, and yet it has happened anyway. Guangdong Freaks to TMA, and it's a double knockdown immediately from Crazy and Yuppie. Not the start that the Freaks were looking for, but Lulu with the self-nade onto Yuppie. That's not ideal, but they do get the flushes onto Ian and Hikari. Lash K bringing out the mutant here, all you can really find though at the moment. But yeah, we did kind of sense this might eventuate. In saying that, Cammy, I didn't think it actually would. There's only 10 games. They go for it anyway, both of these 2 teams.
Yeah, Novo's free. Sure, BBL is there on the west side of Sosnovka, but I think this is going to be a 1-game thing. And oh, this makes it even worse, because even whichever team survives TMA, but then they're going to have this from blue into this northern storm BBL. Don't have to worry about this and make it stand on the north side.
For the Greeks as well. I mean, they were not a team actually in the top 8 for very long in Group A either. Waiki, Kamuka, Nikus, and Wildcard are chasing down a doozy from question mark. Shot hand as well, and they're pretty much catching many of these land. Tough shots to hit, but they get a bit closer and closer. Sense the doozy.
If we saw some blood, a few of the shots landed, then I think they probably would have committed to that, but it's a good idea to turn away right now. They don't want to overcommit here onto Sosnovka Island once again. The surviving Freaks do have weaponry. TMA, they want to push this, but they should know how risky this is, and with a cat with a grenade, that's actually very disastrous.
Initial damage from Xiao Hai. Flash K, and Xiao Hai gets a little bit over aggressive after getting those onto a card. He pushes down the hallway, gets caught by the dinner plate of Lash K. Has 2 as well. Then he realized, and the shotgun is obviously so prominent out close, so dangerous, and TMA have done a tremendous job. They don't lose any members, but we immediately go to some more action here with the BBL.
Very fast rotation. A lot of damage, but no knock coming out for Day Trade. BBL are threading the needle. just enough, but this is a really strong setup in 1. Ball code marker. A lot of damage. Knock. They're going to have to a little bit to try and confirm this, but BBL
cannot turn around. He's got like 20 health, and the way the Day Trade is shooting right now, very much accurate. They will pick up those 2 kills. Obviously, Quetpa and then Code Marco. Really, really nice bridge camp from Day Trade when you take into account that northern circle. You do need to be largely successful when you're getting those bridge camps. So well done from Day Trade, 2 early kills.
BBL moving very, very fast off of the rotation. If you're from the circle as they are, usually teams take a long time to loot up, but they just wanted to go straight ahead, and Day Trade were right there. But look at this. Speaking of being right there, high safety, that's an easy shot.
That's very really nice from a little bit north there for Serp's position on the that is there for that one. Duck might make his way back into the he is the prominent member to have a little bit of fun to close out the group stage. Of course, Cerberus were largely in on 3, but Duckmine makes his way back in.
It's not just adding, even though being the 5th man on the roster, be almost as good as everyone else.
Yeah, and obviously Solozzi, Duckmine, they shared the duties in P7. Pack brought that up, obviously, earlier on in the translated into but twisted. For the most part, not too irritating. We're actually just going to hold over to school and
there's while not quite as that started in yesterday, incredibly important. Hilltops can still be useful as well, but it's just finding that space, and especially if you're a team that's in the mid going north, so you don't have to deal with the pressure from the south teams all coming to you, because a lot of them are going to be coming in from objectives.
Well, this might be the last 5 minutes. We might get a breather. You were talking to me off air as we're getting into the game, how like, let's have some fun with this today. Of course, we want to enjoy the games, especially savor it, and then of course we've had one team eliminated, 7 deaths, a hectic start for the winners bracket.
In any competition for sure, but especially in PUBG, because there are always going to be things that are A, outside of your control, and information that you are lacking. So to have the confidence to go for a fight without thinking, oh, what if there's someone here, what if there's someone there, what if there's a boogeyman in the closet? So heading first, whether you're United, whether you're Na'Vi, I think it is going to have at least a soft advantage versus a team like Wildcard who just barely snuck into 8th.
Forest south of shooting range at the moment is heavily congested. We already have BBL, well, what's left of them, the remnants, Twisted Minds, Danoa, and Cerberus, all in this vicinity. 2-2 split for Cerberus, 2 in the buildings. Then the Lost, I think, might have just lost his way because he's driving straight over towards Taisaki. Smash gets taken out by Tycon, quick headshot. He's no longer 10,000 in the Fantasy League. Of course, Tycon now about 28,000, and rightfully so. He had a tremendous group stage for Cerberus. They get 2 kills early on the board, and so far, it's a nice little start for APAC.
At the very least, Thunderlust got away. BBL just going to hope that the final remaining teammate can get some sort of placement points. Currently hiding out in shooting range, or assuming 17 doesn't take care of him. TMA right now, though, the blue is coming in right at their back. And it looks like they're getting in vehicles to rotate. Their gear not looking that hot, at least judging off of what Yuppie is holding on to.
I will say this, though, for Take Me Away Gaming, when we sort of think about how many points are required after the 10 matches, I think on average you're looking probably for 5 to 6 points a game. Stendalos continues to find his way into the action, but not on the right side of it. It's Lil Ghost that will pick up the final elimination of BBL. They are out in second last place. 17 Gaming will pick up their first point, but yeah, realistically, 5 to 6 points a game, Cameron. That's what you're most likely aiming for after the 10 matches. So if you're TMA, you've already picked up 4 kills this game. You don't really need much more. So not too much of a worry that they're still on Sosnovka Island in the blue, rotating in late. They've already accumulated a large amount of the points required this game.
Yeah, but just in terms of general approach to a round, you obviously want to get as much out of it as possible because, yeah, they got the 4 at the top of this, but that 6 game is an average, and you don't know if you're going to have a 1 point, a 2 point. Even the best team in the world will expect to have at least one of those a day, or prepare for it at the very least, and I'd prefer to see them get as much gear as possible, especially on a gear flush place as Sosnovka. Take some meds, eat the blue in the first circle or two.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what is technically available still here phase 1. I
Not
think
much.
The petrol station might still be available from what I can see. Yahoo with a very intriguing 2-2 split, compound the bridge, and I think they've got the warehouse too. So a very, very strong position with this phase 1 circle. It typically can sort of push over towards the northern side of that Yasnaya Pond, which is where No Lean compound with New Happy. I think that's a good spot too. If it does go shooting range way though, Cerberus with their split and the position they've got, I think is quite valuable. But they obviously did give up shooting range. It would have been too much, I think, position to try and take basically in the winner's bracket. You just can't ask for too much.
Day Trade coming in, not that far ahead of TMA, but just as well behind the blue. They also took their time to loot up after camping that BBL rotation that they got a couple of kills off, a couple of initial points. And this circle is going to center up, so very few teams are going to have to move, but that river still being in play is going to make things a little complicated, like especially for Day Trade. Are they going to try and make that send over the river now, or do they just hole up in Sunken City for in the meantime? You can see on the map, Overpeakers are trying to rotate down the south side and committing to Rawzog, partly because that position just below Danawa might be a little too not concrete of a holding spot when the circle continues to stay on your position. There's a lot of opportunities for third party around that area, so they're trying to get just to a place of safety. United also looking for a similar spot to land.
And obviously we didn't get to do Group B, so this is, for me and you, the first time really up close and personal with United, but they were by far and large a really solid team from Group B, and I can't wait to see what they're able to achieve here in the winners bracket. They are somewhat close by to New Happy though. Don't think that they're going to be engaging with each other necessarily anytime soon, but it is something to keep an eye on depending on how United will play this. Yahoo have actually taken the petrol station and the compound near that Yasnaya bridge, so they're still continuing to just try and take as much space as possible.
Tyloo here actually doing kind of the opposite of what we identified Overpeakers as doing, was where they're going to send more people across the bridge. Now that Navi has backed away and now that Overpeakers have backed away, they can have a foothold on the north side, which is very, very likely going to be the prominent side, assuming we do not get a hard shift down towards the south. And they're just setting themselves up. The problem is you're going to have this question of, like, we want to have a foothold on both sides, but by doing so, it's not going to be a very strong foothold either way.
Now, TMA's rotation here, they're coming into a largely vacant western side of the circle. Only necessarily Cerberus would be their closest competitor. They might even pick up a second crate here that's just sort of dropping down on the map now. Although Day Trade are kind of in that vicinity as well. Pugil's Flash, Belmoth are actually pushing over to that position. So I think this might be where TMA's little run might just have to be halted for a second, because Day Trade have spotted them.
Day Trade, I imagine they came here because they wanted the crate and they recognized that the west side was going to be completely free. It just so happens that they catch TMA rolling on in, and TMA, intelligently so, are going to back away. They don't want to contest this bridge cross. Pugil's angle is incredibly powerful, not to mention the two members that have just arrived there at Cube with Flash and Belmont. So they're going to go away, go through the Georgia Pole Bridge. Not the very long one, just the more shorter one here around Ice Cream.
Yeah, and as I said, that when they will be rotating back into the circle for the end of phase 2, there's not really any teams contesting that position. Really, Cerberus are a little bit more towards the center, so that will be a pretty easy entry point for TMA on the western side coming in. No one will be gatekeeping them. 45 seconds until phase 3, and I think a lot of teams are sitting eager, waiting to see what is going to eventuate, because it has started to really quiet down over the last 5 minutes.
We're about 30 seconds before phase 3, and okay, wait, Helen. For a second, it looked like he was dangerously close to Navi, but though they've been neighbors for a while, and they're okay, just sharing space at least for now. Cerberus, though, they are continuing to maneuver around and expand their area around this hilltop. It's definitely what you want to do. The trees can block a lot of vision, and even though it's a very strong holding position, if this stays the center of the zone towards the late game, in the mid game, it's very easy to kind of lose track of where everyone else is. So I like how they're being active, being proactive, and checking out. But let's wait to see where Phase 3 goes. I like a lot of the positions of these teams to give themselves options moving forward, and it is going to be a medium shift towards the west side. Cerberus' position is going to be dead center. Are they going to continue to hold an extended position or try and condense down into one singular spot?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying for TMA. Look at that. They just get to walk straight in. They waltz in and say, we came from Sosnovka Island. Does not matter. They'll get a pretty decent position Phase 3 and can play off of that now on the edge. Question remains now, I think more so for the teams towards the northeastern side of that previous Phase 3 circle. It is going to be very difficult for them to make it into this current circle if they just go for a more direct route.
Overpeakers right now, or at least Jeems is looking towards Twisted Minds, because again, they moved the majority of their team towards Razak, they have to make their way back over towards the north, and Jeems is going to be a critical piece of that puzzle. A lot of the space on that river has already been taken. United, though, coming in from a completely different angle, they got shifted off, and with that open space, they're going to have to thread the needle, as you say, through a number of different teams, and they might be lacking a little bit of information of where exactly is safe to go. I like how they're packed close enough together that when they do have to potentially send on to a fight, they're going to be able to support each other, but this is very, very well done. I think they caught one bullet for a Snaker specifically.
Yeah, Wildcard was taking a couple of shots, but they didn't really have the best kind of sightline. And Yahoo couldn't actually push over, because if they pushed over the ridge, then Wildcard would have been able to see them silhouetting. So they couldn't really punish E United either. That was just the perfect call from E United. They understood that they could just basically thread that needle there. They've got themselves a really good position here for Phase 3, minute and 15 till Phase 4, and Na'Vi making their move now. It's not quite going to be as clean though. See, in the Whizzing Tower Uber, well, with a bit of help from Mel as well, who did land some shots, they both combine, they get the knock, Sia down in the Whizzing Tower by himself.
That's absolutely crucial though, to get Sia down, because they know that New Happy is right behind them, and with Tyloo's spread, Sia was really the only main threat, just assuming that Na'Vi stay in this position and try and just keep.
New Happy right behind them though. And New Happy would have heard those shots, so Na'Vi's got to be careful that they don't loiter here, and it looks as if they do get caught. Nan, though, forced back. What a shot from Mel. Brings him down to 3 HP. Otherwise, I think Nan would have been able to get a knock and down from that. An example holding the door here. Gets the knock onto HS, and Na'Vi are dealing with this pressure from New Happy behind them.
Okay, ZPN is also trying to roll on in. Example with a grenade at the Weddy, but going to be backing away. Catches ZP down to 60 HP, but the push is still going to come on through. Example is going to win that again.
Still more to come, but this is a strange push right now from New Happy. Example got one, couldn't quite get the second. Ming Ming stays alive. Yahoo are starting to third party. They're making their way over to see what they can quite catch for themselves, but it's not a full four-man Yahoo, so they're probably a little bit apprehensive as to how they want to push into this. And Balefrost does get a knock onto Uber. Na'Vi having to deal with quite a lot right now, and then that circle shifting away from them. The nade is pretty much successful onto Ming Ming, and they will deal with him. So New Happy are gone. Eliminated 14th, but Yahoo are starting to threaten this position as well. CC will get rid of Cliv. That's Overpeak has gone too. And suddenly, off the back of this Phase 4 circle shift, everyone's starting to fight.
Down to 12 teams already quite early, but that just shows not only with the hot drops that we saw in the very beginning, but how everyone's fighting over these singular areas. Your Ho actually going to be pushing into Na'Vi. They see a weakened opposing team, and they don't care if it's against the direction of the zone. Fortunately for Na'Vi, Mel does get the opening knock against Sparking.
But he's the only one left alive. And he still needs to get 3 more. Well, that's a second down. Why not just go for the flush? Can't quite get it because Punich turns around the corner and makes sure that that won't happen. So Na'Vi, 5 kills, good amount of damage, good game from them. You'll take that. That's one you can just sort of put in the back pocket and say, okay, 5 points gained, 9 games to go. You'll take that pretty much every game.
I really like that call from Yoho to go and take that fight, mostly because it's not like they had a priority of a position towards the north side, because there really aren't that many positions, especially with that E United send that we saw just a few zones ago. QM coming in from the north side, Wildcard with a very nice spread up on the edge. Smoke's going to come out, though. Looks like Dante might just be wanting to make this run into the building. Adam is at the ready.
Nico is firing shots at Yahoo, who have obviously turned their position now back towards start territory of one side are dealing with question mark. Now on the other side, have to deal with Yahoo. So Wildcard now inadvertently are being pincered or get the game. Nikus gets tagged. Wildcard are just not in a position where they can have someone get knocked down. They need all three standing, and they need to ward off at least one of these two teams, hence successfully. There's one of them gone. Question mark, go back up north. That is a huge reprieve for Wildcard. Now they can just deal with Yahoo. Suju, spray, not too bad. Gets the low. 17, of course, on the northern side coming out. Shooting range, wow, there's the drive-by. Gets the double onto Dante and Hobbits. They fall, question mark. Losing players pretty quickly here.
Yeah, moving away from Wildcard. I understand it was a necessity because of the blue, but again, the amount of control that teams like 17 have been able to post up and hold. Heavy damage. Bill Frost and Sparking down.
Yeah, they tried to get in and behind Wildcard, go for more so position, but question mark and also E United were already there. Phil first going to get knocked. Still in that area, but we go over to Twisted Minds because down south, Tyloo Twisted Minds also doing battle. Then there's another battle as well with Danoa. Doozy and Phil first will go down to E United. Of course, they're still pretty happy with the way that they were able to put themselves into this position early at the start of phase 3. We are now heading into phase 5 as Yahoo are gone. Circle shift onto the compound of Tycon. He needs the rest of Cerberus to make their way over. They can play from that spot, and it's still a big one as well for E United.
Oh, Soul does go down, but Helen is able to get the revive on Salute at the very least. We've seen this before, Helen and a partner, and they have done some heavy, heavy damage, done a lot of good work. And with this shift, if they can control the remaining members of Twisted Minds and Tyloo down to their south, they are going to have a nice ridge to play up towards the north. That's Cerberus position that you just recognized. Yep. Tycon did get the backup.
Yep. Himas, Hidaki making their way over, obviously along with Duckbite. So all 4 members for Cerberus have got the last major compound position. Spyro, now the last major member alive for Twisted Minds. They averaged 11 points a game, Cameron, through the first 10 matches of Group A. Just the 1 point gained in this one.
1 for now. Spyro could potentially take out those last remaining members of Tyloo Daytrade here on the west side. Backfilling behind TMA, who actually happened to get in front of them once Cerberus vacated this area. Oh, here's the spray down. The bike goes out, but Spyro can't land enough of the shots. No, they stopped. They stalled.
Landed the headshot, got them low, but it's actually Soul and Salute that will take those free prizes. A little bit of help from Spyro. They say thank you very much. 4 kills for Danoa. That goes a long way for them. As you mentioned before, we've seen such an amazing amount of games from Salute, Howland. Usually as a duo, the amount of points that they were able to, basically grab for Danoa from losing positions was quite extraordinary. They are now at the moment sitting in that second place position, tied with a couple of other teams, TMA, 17. Early days though, but a good spot down south, and it's starting to now calm down a little bit. Why? Because we've got 8 teams remaining at the 21.5-minute mark. An absolute bloodthirsty middle sector here for this first game.
Daytrade's approaching. The shots do come out. No knocks just yet, but heavy, heavy damage. Grenade follow-up should be doing the trick. That's 1 onto Flash. Norrens also got taken down to Salute. So Daytrade's approach here is not nearly as closed off, as safe as they were hoping.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 2 star players, Flash, Norrens, further in front leading, but there wasn't much that they could get from Putils and Belmore. Further back, Yuppie gets down by Lilgo. 17 starting to peek over and see what they can find here. Still a distance way up north, and by taking these shots and just kind of moving over in this position, it is allowing Wildcard into a rather safe position up north too. So something to keep note of going into phase 6. Wildcard and 17 getting closer to each other there on the map screen. You can see it because 17 has started to push over to third party from a distance. It has allowed Wildcard into that spot.
Puchos goes down. It's all to Belmoth. Last member up for Daytrade. Grenade at the ready. Looks good directionally, but a bit too far.
Yeah, not going to happen here. Too many members, but still from behind 17 are just getting really greedy here, seeing what they can get. Salute, Crazy will split the bill onto Durance and Belmoth, 1 apiece. Nate goes out, that's well short. Not really close at all, but 17 Gaming have 4 alive. They have the power play here, while TMA are still just trying to heal up, trying to get their defensive smokes out. It's not really happening quick enough for them, and Shout high crazy are both going to go down simultaneously. Really good positions here from 17. And it's also quite fortunate. It's a wounded wildcard. It's a slow wildcard. You can see in the minimap, while they have been pushing over Cameron, not pushing over quick enough to third-party 17, so they are getting all these kills onto TMA for free for now. And then Danoa have pushed straight into E United. This south portion of the circle we haven't seen much of for a while. It's free kills really for E United. They got to 6 kills. TMA are gone. 5 teams remaining.
Wildcard approach onto 17. It was, as you mentioned, wasn't quick enough. 17 now can focus all their attention. Believe they know that they're coming. Shao DD with a grenade at the ready. Peeks up, gets the spray down, takes a little bit.
Wow.
Can only get one before Adam trades it out.
Incredible job, though, because they were getting the revive. So it was a 2v3 momentarily in favor of Wildcard. Shao DD and Show put on a show for 17. But obviously, surely you're going to see Cerberus push out. No, they don't. They fall back to the compound. So again, they get a reprieve here, 17. They're going to get the revive. They're going to have all 4 players alive.
The problem is they know that they're trying to overcommit onto 17. They could pick up their compound to E United, who have just been trying to work the southeast edge for so long. Very good defense on them.
But E United are being shot at and tortured by Danoa. They're in shambles at the moment. They're getting revives. They're not really in a position. So that's for Cerberus to understand the kill feed, pushed out, know that the other teams remaining are all wounded, fighting. This is your chance to spread out, get third parties in control. Instead, they go for defense. They stay in the compound. Will that come back to haunt them?
They have 4 up, and they have a very strong position in the zone. So at the very least, they haven't given anything up. Perhaps they've let an opportunity go by, but it's about keeping... It's an adage as old as time, or at least as old as this game is. Keep 4 up into the late game.
Yep.
So at the very least, they aren't giving that one up.
And we're starting to head into the latest of the late games, Phase 7 coming shortly. I imagine there will probably be some time now because 17 are actually rotating back north, down the hill somewhat. They have spotted E United, and the same can be said for E United spotting 17. They did lose Flood, so Flood is eliminated. So E United down to 3, of course, while Cerberus 17, both full strength coming into this final fight. But a really, really big start from 17. That's 16 points already on the board. That is a huge amount for a 10-game bracket.
Circle closing. Phase 7. Slight preference towards E United, but with the amount of space that 17 have and Show is just W keying forward the second that phase reveals itself, that it's not going to be a heavy detriment to any of these teams. I actually, if there's one team that's at the downside, it's I think possibly Cerberus.
Depends on the way the 17 are playing is, and the way they are playing is they are pushing up to E United. So that is therefore not going to be the downside here for Cerberus, because I think they should be in a position by the end of this where they are third-partying, provided they push out, because you've got Sho and Suju both pushing out. You can see on the minimap they are very, very close now to E United. They've been able to push out, get the knock onto Kickstart, they'll eliminate him, and Cerberus are starting to push out down south, and I think they might even just run into Rallo and Snakers here.
United must know that this is happening. There's no way they expect a team like Cerberus especially to just be sitting in that compound and waiting things out. They need to know that there's got to be a team there on the south side, and they do stop before they run into the opposition. But at this moment, they've just got to be hoping and praying that the 2 full-strength teams somehow spot each other out, and they can then try and swing that into their advantage.
An incredibly mature performance from Cerberus. You know, for those that think that APAC's all about that sort of crazy aggression, that's not the case. For these top teams, at least it hasn't been, probably for a good 12 to 16 months. They've started to grow, learn, adapt. You know, Cerberus evolved, maybe would have pushed out, got into those scrappy fights, and it might have cost them. Instead, they play the safe position, the defensive position. Can't fault it right now. I love the 2-2 split that they've got down south as well, making sure that no one can wrap in behind. They've had vision up over towards the northwestern side as well. Have a lot of intel, technically, but they haven't quite got probably the understanding of the way that 17 are positioned all the way out east.
Yeah, I'm seeing how they have a couple of members looking towards their west, and that to me shows that they don't exactly know that 17 did make that wrap over towards, they were on the west and then made their way back towards the east. So that's just sort of the downside of staying inside a compound like that. But the shots do come out. Snakers gets a knock on to Show. It's going to slow 17's push just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's probably all it will be. A halting here of the momentum that 17 were building up. That's a great nade, by the way. I mean, in fairness, Rallo and Snaker's not in a position as a duo to really push on that knock. There's not much they could realistically do. I should add, Shao DD holding up north as an anchor to make sure that Cerberus cannot wrap up on the north side and catch 17 from behind. So 17 right now are feeling quite confident that they can't get third-partied.
They hear the grenades, Cerberus, and now they want to come in onto this. United looks like they might be pushing forward, but then they hear grenades and have to fall back. There's not much space for them to move at all. They have two giants on both sides of them.
Here come Tycon and Himas though for Cerberus. Shots in the back onto Snake as he repositions. He stays alive. The nades have gone out from Cerberus, but largely unsuccessful so far. This could be 2 big points for Cerberus. They need as many points as they can probably get early on, especially since 17 are already just soaking up the points from this game. 12 kills, looking for 14. Rallo got knocked, looking to get now finished off by Show. Cerberus need to get involved here. I think they've got to pull all of their members over to this and take the fight with 17 while they are scrappy.
But Cerberus know that Shao DD is towards the north.
Tycon, massive.
United do go down. Well, and that's a huge knock, but it's a good counter by Little Ghost. 3 on 3 at the moment.
Big spray, and Shao DD catches Hisaki. Big shot from Shao DD. He catches Hisaki down. It does give away his position to Duckmai. Duckmai gets him to half health, but goes prone. Himas and Hisaki down. It's a 1-1 split now for Cerberus, and Duckmai is down for the count. He will not get revived. Tycon, though, will stick this one, and is successful onto Himas. The 2 best fraggers for Cerberus are still up. They will not get Hisaki, though. He is gone. It's a 2 versus 3. Tycon, the 18-year-old prodigy from APAC, big down onto Suju. Now it's a 2 versus 2.
Trades back and forth, smoke grenades thrown back and forth on both sides. Duckmai has been confirmed, so he cannot give any more information over. But the 2 versus 2, Tycon is pushing forward. He wants to go aggressive onto this. He finds Low Ghost.
He can get the second one as well. Tycon can now confirm this for 17. Shadi D at the tree. They should have this information as well from Duckmai earlier. He did get flushed, but by and large, they should know where he is, and they do. They know he's at the tree. Oh, Tycon. The future of Pubg from Vietnam, from APAC, is showing up. Oh, he's just walked back into the Molotov, though. What a molly from Shouty D. Now it well and truly is all up to Tycon.
But does he know that Tycon is on the left side? He's still taking the right side of the tree. At some point, he has to check the other angle, and Tycon is going aggressive, but perhaps not aggressive enough. DD closes Himas.
He has been waiting for this moment for years. He joined Cerberus at 15 years of age. He has been sitting and waiting in the wings for this very moment to put his team on the map, his country on the map. At PGC in the winners bracket, it's down to Tycon versus Shouty D of 17 Gaming, who have by and large already collected a huge amount of points.
All they're looking at each other. DD taken down very, very low, but Tycon can just hold strong. He has priority over the center of the circle, but he's actually moving away. He wants to keep Shao DD guessing.
Loot. He can get some loot here. He's got a couple of smokes, but no nades, no mollies to flush him away from that tree. I think he goes scrambling. He also changes up that position, and now Shao DD has to start guessing again. Tycon, what a spray! Oh, that's Vietnam! That's APAC! That is one of the best players that we've got going around! Tycon! Well done!
To be a rookie and have the wherewithal and the confidence to not just hold on to the tree and actually leave and back away, to find an angle, to have that confidence, to not freeze up. Amazing play there at the end.
Considering his age, considering the lack of experience at this kind of level, Cameron, it is such a moment, just himself, but also for his team. APAC, usually ridiculed, usually given no chance at the global stage.
No more.
Well, we're here, baby. We're making noise.
You also have to give it up to 17, though. What a strong run by them as well. Getting a huge number of kills, even if they couldn't confirm that final kill on Tycon for the win. Both these teams got a massive amount of points. And again, 10 rounds for the winners bracket. Every single round counts.
I did say at the end of group stage A, Cameron, he was 10,000 on the fantasy pick'ems, that he will go up and that you should stick with him. And what does he do? 6 kills, the win. That is a huge amount of points for those that still had faith that he will be able to do it in the winner's bracket. An incredible moment and the dream start for Cerberus. They could not have asked for a better start. And guess what? Couldn't have asked for a better desk.
You're right, we are the best. Thank you very much. But you know who are better? It's Cerberus getting that win here for the first game in the winners bracket. What a win as well. Down to a 1v1. And Tycon, the sub, was absolutely clutch at these finals. I love the relocate here, Toby, to get themselves the victory.
Oh no, I mean, in that end game, there's a good 50-50 at who comes out victorious. And with every single move that Tycon makes, actively just pushing the winning chances towards him. Very smart utility usage and very smart usage of string.
Definitely so. Let's take a look back at this game and see how things played out. Of course, we brought it up whilst we were talking backstage here, Martin. KDF kind of has to relocate, but you think there's a decent answer anyway?
Yeah, for sure. Freaks want to go to Saki, and unfortunately the plane path didn't allow them here for Northern Circles. Well, they would have been perfect for them, but it didn't work out. Cerberus, fantastic game for them, though. What a push in the end. Like, the way that he utilized the lower ground and constantly, every time he got spotted, constantly relocated. That was super well executed. But 17 Gaming, guys, for me here, what an insane start. They had so many team wipes, and the amount of points they're going to get, they're easily going to take over Cerberus in total points from this game alone.
And the way that they set up on the north side, come phase 2, they have full control of everything that is north of shooting range. And then they just slowly push in, as you're saying, massive edge control play coming through to the forest on the southern side, and almost a 17-kill win for them.
An interesting dynamic towards the end as well here with 17 wrapping all the way around, not really wanting to fall into the trap of what Cerberus was kind of laying down. Then eventually forces that fight here against United, and you know, that third party eventually kind of comes here, Avenger.
Yeah, United was in the unfortunate middle of a third-party sandwich, and they got kind of pulled up on a few times in the situations where it's like, couldn't really do too much other thing than just hide by those couple of rocks there. Didn't have their backs free, and they were third-party multiple times. So 22 points here for 17 game, James.
Definitely so. Here the points rolling on in. Cerberus does get the victory, but as you say, 17 was blasting here, Toby. It was what a game by them here. That is huge points, and again in this lobby is so important because of the strength of the lobby in general.
Exactly, a confidence booster right when you need it, right, to kick things off. They were taking fights head-to-head with pretty much everyone they could. Their timings on the third-party engagements and some of the different fights they took, especially up towards the compound on the hillside, absolutely perfect. And the fact that they come into the very final fight without any casualties off of all of that, that is insane.
Tycon with 7. That's hero mode, Avenger.
It is. Ooh. It's set to hero. Fantastic for Tycon. And to think that he was a sub for the group stage and Twire and the fantasy team, that's just insane. Not this time round, though. He was expensive. He was actually so expensive. I was like, that's not even, I'm not even going to consider him.
Yeah.
But Tycon here, of course, big efficiency in the ratio as well. 7 kills, 727 damage. I'm loving what I'm seeing from them. And also, again, hypothetical cutoff, 22 points for 17 Gaming here. We're talking 65 points, maybe 70 is going to be our top 8 cutoff. So already getting a third of that now is insane.
Yeah, definitely so. As we take a look at the numbers overall here, Little Ghost putting in work like so with Shouty D. Other things I want to talk about, though, are United, obviously, you know, for the most part, they had a decent circle advantage here during all of this. But Danawa also getting 4th place. I feel like, I've said it many times, they're always perpetually 4th or 5th all the time, every tournament, forever.
I mean, they had the same fight that was on the northern side of the circle. It just took place earlier in the game. You have Na'Vi down there, you have Overpeakers down there, a big cluster of teams having to make their way north of the river. Danawa, the only team to come out victorious. And then when you have United sat in the position by the rocks there, because they're so active in containing other teams, they know that eventually, well, we didn't get that knock we needed, we just gotta send it.
And coming in from that southeastern side, it is so rough because you have this high 3-star, it's overlooking everything, and if you don't control that compound, you're going to be pincered, you're going to be pushed away from him. That's also why we saw the fight with Twisted Minds in a case where they were in a rough 2-2 split, and Danawa came into that. So in general, where United ended up coming in from further kind of on the north side, they actually had full control of that big ridge where they ended up eventually ending up dying on as well.
Well, that is Erangel #1 in the books. Cerberus get it. I feel like we've had an abnormal amount of these north circles in Erangel lately. It's been
better than all the east circles constantly.
That is true. Yes, I don't mind these whatsoever, but it does then, bearing that in mind, feel like these teams have had some warm-up into this one, be it the rotations that they make from far south locations, etc. But Cerberus overall, what a start for them. Imagine at the end of this, if we're saying APAC is your champion, that would be fantastic.
That'd be a surprise to me coming into this tournament, but now I'm like, you know what, I wouldn't be that surprised because the way they've been playing has been absolutely phenomenal. I must admit, though, I was a little bit worried seeing how passive they were once the fight took place between TMA and 17 up on the west hillside. I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to clear out literally half the circle and take full control of there. They didn't. They opted to stay passive with 2 players split off down the southern side. But I think it's because they were worried that maybe United were going to try and make an aggressive play towards the compound as well.
Potentially.
They wanted to be the third-party factor rather than be the engager, right? You have such a higher chance of winning the game if you're the one to third-party rather than it's you and your opponent being third-party. Looking good for Cerberus, though, in the start here, and even with this here, the momentum that you're going to... It's just 10 games, right, guys? So even the momentum in a good start like this, they're going to push this straight to the rest of the games of the day.
I mean, something like 22 points, for example, for 17. in one game across a 10-game series like this, that's potentially halfway, two-thirds of the, one-third of the way to kind of getting yourself that qualification in the top 8 spot. So that is going to be a massive boost for 17 Gaming. And as Martin has already said here, Toby, with the fact that they have Pachinki Picardo, there's no way 17's not going to make it.
I will almost already say, I mean, they're going to make it. Like, they started like this. They have Pachinki Picardo, like, it's just too strong.
I mean, once they got the ball rolling yesterday in Group B, we saw how quickly they just skyrocketed up the leaderboard. Because 17 don't win quiet games. They don't get like 3-kill games.
Bridges, I think it's going to be rough with the aggression, but that we've seen, especially here for Take Me Away, and in general, Freaks probably not going to come back. Or they could be, if I was in Freaks' shoes, I would be looting West, Millie, Azure, alt drop instead of contesting Take Me Away. It's just not worth it at this point.
Right, just there has to be a solution in just a best of 10.
Yeah.
You can't kind of beat your head against a wall constantly at a stage of a tournament like this, I think is fair to say.
Definitely. Tyloo, we're seeing here as well, again, part of the southern cluster of all the teams that try to get out of the Russak and cross the river. They took out Overpeakers in the blink of an eye. Once that fight started, you saw boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, all of Overpeakers dead. A team who has been going up against the likes of Tyloo for quite a big part of the tournament so far. So even though they go out with only those 4 points, being able to take out one of the top prospects out of EMEA like that, that's pretty damn impressive.
I mean, I can see a world where we get quite a few China wins on a board like this. When you've got teams like Tyloo, when you've got teams like 17 Martin, they're coming with power.
Yeah, and New Happy as well.
New Happy as well. Let's see how all of those fare. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time now to head over to the commentators here for game number 2. It's the winners bracket. Let's head to Erangel.
Well, it feels like already a third of the way there for our winners. Well, and also our second place team, 17.
Yeah, for both.
Both of them are basically a third of the way there already. Of course, just the 10 matches here for the winners bracket. Both playing like winners in that first game, of course. Tycon 7 kills, Shado 6 kills. And it came down to that little final standoff between the two of them. But yeah, 17 on top, 22 points. We estimate the cutoff will probably be around 60. So a really, really big start.
Yeah, you want to get higher than 60 to be comfortable, but 60 might just be that, like, 60, 61-ish or so. We do see off the plane path, very similar to the plane path, that KDF are, intelligently enough, not going to be re-attempting the hot drop. They're going to be going over to Novo, which in this circle is free. Wildcard do go there, but here they're going to be going back over to Severny once again, and we might have a significantly slower early game this time around.
Well, that was the estimation, though, for the Guangdong Freaks and either or TMA. I don't think anyone actually expected that hot drop to take place from what I was discussing with some of the players as well. It was something that may happen, and in the end, obviously did happen. But what we've got in this game is probably what I expected to happen. And obviously for the Guangdong Freaks, somewhat of a wasted first game, but They were a team that actually came home strong in Group A. They were not necessarily at the top at the start. They kind of got better as the tournament went on. They will have to do something similar here, of course. Still nine games to go, and there's no team feeling too reprieved from that first game. Another Northern Circle. Even James mentioned it on the desk. We go north once again. That is some nice shots from Sol, but not going to find the knock. Still enough to probably put the fear of God into Spyro there. It would have been horrible sinking feeling had he gone down, but survives it over to App, and obviously they'll all take fourth once again.
Yeah, again, another Northern Circle in a row. This one a little bit different, a little bit towards the east, which I think actually makes the options even fewer than the previous game, and especially because we're not going to be losing KDF right off the bat. More teams to arrive on in. BBL as well probably have learned from that previous day trade bridge camp. United here going over towards their traditional home, at least in their own region of Milta Power. And this is going to be an easy rotate for them. They just got to drive north. Just go north on the east coast. It's relatively straightforward.
I think a bit more of a guessing game with this kind of circle as well. It can still go south. I think yesterday we saw it go to those Yasnaya fields away from the more northern section of, say, the Yasnaya Pond or Stalba, which obviously we had a couple of those in Group A. One even go on top of Stalba all the way even over towards Kameshki. I'm not sensing that will happen with this one, but there is that kind of guessing game. Does it go north? Does it go south? That's going to be a big factor that we've got early on, phase 1, then into phase 2. Something to keep in mind. Tong's waiting at the bus stop. I don't think there's going to be a bus on the way, though.
Yeah, I don't know what schedule he's on. He needs to update that. We got about 2 days before the next schedule or arrival. He's able to break away from that. He has gear, so I guess that just shows how interesting is a nice PR spin of way to describe that area of the map with how there's compounds sort of spread, and every single time you have two teams loot, ferry, and farm separately, where is that line of scrimmage really and truly drawn?
Yep. 17 Gaming, perfect start, 22 points. Well, they didn't get the win, second place, and I believe it was about 16 kills, obviously, so that is quite scary. That's a statement that was made in the first game, Cameron, from 17 Gaming, what they're going to be able to do with these Pachinki positions as well in this group, and just the sheer firepower that they have, and to think that they've got a sub. It was mentioned on the desk that by this point, though, I think the sub, it's not an excuse, but the sub factor's probably worn off now. Well integrated into the team, obviously, and has been part of the team for quite some time, and has now been able to have a bit of time at the top level.
BBL don't want to play around with day trade at all, so instead they're going over towards this east bridge where KDF, Lisa Kad is trying to push on through. Not exactly sure what information KDF have, but looking at Akad's direction of the rotation, likely knows that BBL have now sort of looped in front of them.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one, isn't it? BBL obviously now conscious that day trade will be camping that bridge on the Lighthouse side, so what do? They go over to the Milts Bridge and try and camp out KDF and potentially Team A. You can actually get a 2-for-1 here. Obviously for BBL, they lost 2 players in the last game from that cross of the bridge.
And then everyone else on the continued rotation.
Yes. They never quite got their feet set.
Oh my god, wait, that's Kwepa. Like actually behind KDF on the high ground on radio tower. Okay, KDF don't have nearly as much information as I thought because Code Marco just peeks out, catches Akari.
Only one for now, and only Hikari to get eliminated, and obviously all the information now gained for the Guangdong Freaks, but they will not be aware of Kwepa's position on the road leading up to Radio Tower, and obviously as we can see, he has eyes on Akad, he has information that he can convey to the rest of his team. But for the Guangdong Freaks, I probably sense they won't be looking to cross that bridge for a bit of time. TMA, though, will eventually be making their way over to this position in due time. They're only just now leaving military base, so it's about to get very dicey here. And here comes Kwepa coming down the hill. Is this a mistake? Because instantly eliminated by Ian. He's just sent to Crossroads. He gets punished.
That's an ambitious push there. I don't know what they thought they'd get out of it for BBL.
What are they doing?
BBL, they want to close this quickly, but they don't want them to be in the blue while they take this fight. But by doing so, they're putting themselves in a very disadvantageous push against KDF.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit confusing at the moment, the way that BBL are playing this one. And Guangdong Freaks, they are rightfully punishing them Defender lost down on the backside. Oh, that's just too easy. Smash gone. Only one left. Well, I mean, BBL have been smashed here. Code Marco still on the beach. What a misplay from BBL after, honestly, a pretty decent move from them. TMA have made their way up to the radio tower, but Crazy got knocked down straight away. Good shots onto a card, but the Guangdong Freaks have done well, all things considered. After losing Hikari, they were able to obviously pick up some decent points against BBL. That's now all three confirmed. Obviously, still Code Marco alive. Now they'll have to turn their attentions to TMA.
TMA might be backing away. Again, this is a very, very weird fight to be having this early on in relation to where Circle 1 is. Speaking of which, Cerberus shacking up in Severny with 17 rotating, a couple different angles around them.
Yeah.
Lotus does make his way past, doesn't get caught off, and now they're actually on holding multiple sides.
We didn't quite get to see it because we were watching that fight down on Sosnovka Island, but out of Pachinki, up on the western side, going even north of shooting range, coming into Severny. Intriguing rotation from 17, but I think getting the sense that from the last game, west side clear. Let's repeat that, most likely with this eastern circle. Eastern side will be a little bit more congested, so really smart rotating from 17 so far. We saw it in the last game, we see it again here, and consistency is obviously key.
Helen as well got a knock onto Batulin as they tried to cross over the bridge. Lu is rotating up. The question is, do they want to go and actually try and revive? Well, spotting Lambu push up this to confirm this kill.
Oh no.
Oh, lands the final shot to make it a trade. Helen didn't have the angle. This is huge.
And this is what Twisted Minds were basically doing to most of Group A. Taking these fights, hitting these shots. They were really precise, clean with the aggression that they were putting out onto the lobby. But that first game, not quite what we saw from them in the Group A. This is a little bit more style, hitting these kind of shots, putting this kind of pressure on. Holding this bridge at the moment. Hallen, of course, did get tagged, but has been able to heal back up, hold that roof position. Here comes Sol and Salute. They're just going to send it in, obviously wanting to get the revive on the Lambu. So one can go for the revive, one can then try and hold a more forward position. Salute's going to be careful, though. He is giving Perfectix a chance. But Flash, Daytrade, they've also got an angle on this. So Twisted Minds in a very precarious position.
We're still seeing a lot of fighting in the early game, like we saw the previous round. Not hot drops or not, this just shows how much is on the line for these teams, and they know that they need to be on the more proactive side. Lu's grenade is proactive, finds two. Salute down to 10 HP as well.
He's pushing, they know they've got them on the ropes here. Danawa, they were trying to just escape, they were trying to get out of here. Batulins didn't quite get the elimination onto Salute. Doesn't matter because Lu's there as well to finish off his own handiwork. Howling could just sit there on the roof and watch. And Dano have been able to collect points as solos and duos, but a very early solo for Hallen, and they know his location. It's probably time to get out of here, get out of this position, but for Danoa, they get punished by Twisted Minds. What a grenade from Lu.
Man, the amount, how comfortable Spyro has been camping on that rooftop. I wouldn't be surprised if he had an entire tent, a stove with him, a space heater, glamping at this point because he is just comfortable holding down the angles that he needs to onto Helen, but even just other members of Danawa to allow the rest of the lines to push over and regain control.
Now, a little update in that crossroads position in Sosnovka Island, but Guangdong Freaks are still there. They have not moved. You can't even see them on the map, but what you can see is Take Me Away Gaming starting to make their way out. They actually rotated over to the Lighthouse Bridge, and they're now pushing their way up north. But Code Marco's still at the bridge. He's still there, and the Guangdong Freaks are still there as well. They've not moved. Circle, well, kind of centers up a little bit more to the western side and probably eliminates Stelba and most likely gets rid of the Yasnaya region. So it does mean positions, the compound really that Twisted Minds are about to get from how pretty decent spot. For them, they don't have to really do much more with this kind of circle.
Marco.
Code Marco has been waiting for this revenge moment for quite some time, deep in the blue. The nade is not too bad, but it's not enough to get any sort of knock onto the Guangdong Freaks, who will just keep on driving by. That grenade's not going to find the target, and the Freaks will get away from Code Marco and say, see you later, mate. Enjoy the blue.
Not quite yet. He still has a mark. But yeah, he's not going to commit to this. He knows that he needs to survive. BBL going out with 0 points the previous game. He needs to try and find something and survive as long as possible, even if it's 2, even if it's 3, because they are going to be struggling to make their way into that bubble. And if they were to lose out because Code Marco, I guess, threw his life away so easily right now, granted, you could, blame the rest of the team for throwing their life away with that push on a KDF, but you know what? Let's not talk about that.
Great spot for overpeakers who were I would say, the most aggressive team that we've had in the competition so far in Group A, especially for 2 days.
Yeah.
Cameron, they did reel it in a little bit on day 3, but they already solidified their position into the winners bracket. And yeah, haven't really seen much of them at the moment. Last place doesn't really matter, it's the second game. But more so just mentioning the fact that we just haven't really seen them. And in this kind of game, at that kind of compound, you're probably not going to see much.
Yeah, again, a lot of open space around this area of the map. I mean, he does find the angle, but it's going to be an angle of Alya sort of just sitting out in the open.
That's the benefit, though, of pushing out slightly. It doesn't have to be in too much space, but just enough where it's like, okay, we've got the compound. We don't have to sit necessarily inside of it. We can push out a little bit. We can see if we can find these kind of angles, and that's the benefit there for James. He finds that kill, takes a player away from Na'Vi, direct rival. But here comes Yahoo onto the 2-2 split of 17. Suju and Lil Ghost need to be aware of this, and they are. Look how quick they are to react. 17 are on their game right now. They are going to be a formidable opponent for all of these teams in the winners bracket. They do not even give Yahoo a chance, and still they land a headshot, and still Yahoo doing an okay job, at least get a knock here. But I think they've gotten away.
It's close, but yeah, they are able to make their way out. Instantaneous decision to leave not just one vehicle, it was an entire Lion King wildebeest running down the ridgeline that Yahoo showed and presented to 217. They're not going to hold and fight that. It's way too early to make that sort of gamble, risky play. TMA arrived to the zone, crossed the bridge. Day trade right below them. Belmont is already moving towards the north, potentially hurt the goals. Either way, TMA are able to pit themselves in a solid position as we wait phase 2 to close.
Yeah, an interesting 2-1-1 split there for Day Trade. I don't necessarily mind it. Flash Puccio is probably the more prominent position closer to center. But then having the 2 players back, being able to sort of watch for those teams looking to backfill in, take those southwestern positions, aka TMA, can give them that information. But you've got to be careful that if TMA get aggressive, they spot that solo, they push, it can be a very quick elimination. So we'll see what happens. But TMA have halted for the time being, probably waiting to see what happens here for phase 3. But you can kind of see there, Day Trade, that is a lot of space being taken from them. Obviously, they've got that petrol station there. Phase 3, though, where does this one go? Who is quite the team to be fortunate here in match number 2 of the winners bracket? It goes to the north side. That's pretty good for QM. Obviously, Overpeakers will go back to their position. I like the split 2 for wildcard. And 17 will probably be quite happy with the northern split here and be able to play edge on the north side.
Navi with some shots. Twisted Minds pushing on in, but it seems to be all in one singular vehicle. It's going to be an aggressive send, and that's a grenade at the ready for Helen. In the position that Helen is at, he knows that he's likely going to have to defend against a potential push.
This is a very dangerous position for wildcard, the warehouse. It can get crashed so easily from both sides. They do not have Waiki, Kamukau, and Nikus watching the backside of this warehouse. This is going to allow Cerberus to basically pull up, and I like this play. This is smart. Great shot, Adam, pull back. They give up the warehouse, and that is probably one of the smartest plays that wildcard could do. Prefer the compound of the warehouse. The warehouse is so susceptible to crashes. You're just constantly fighting. It's so difficult to hold that. Really, really intelligent from wildcard.
Twisted Minds now, they did roll up into Helen's position. Helen has a couple of grenades. It pushed Twisted Minds at least a little bit away. And I don't think that they're going to be comfortable with the information that they have in order to try and make an aggressive re-maneuver back on that spot. So Twisted Minds holding into that small little dip for now, but we'll see if that gets punished by high ground later on in the round. TMA now moving a little more towards the north, coming in into 17's area of control as they edge just slightly, bit by bit, zone by zone towards the east.
Yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with Day Trade. I think that's on TMA's own volition here. I don't believe we saw them really fighting with Balmoth. I don't think he was sort of warding them off. I think TMA just got the sense that they're going to have to play west side, which has already shown in this lobby to be a little bit more open. Howland has been eliminated, and guess by who? Lou has wiped all 4 members of Danawa. He got all 4 of them himself. Very greedy from Lou. But obviously Twisted Minds won't mind. They'll take the points, and they'll be very happy with his individual performance. And Xiao Yang pushing up for Tai Lu, and he gets close to Example, but fortunately for Example, he has the tree for cover.
Grenade comes out. Example falls away from this one. They've already lost 1 member, so they're still playing as 3. Just gotta be really careful about spacing. Grenade comes in. Example down to 73. He's gonna be pulling even further back. Might just want to give that base up, especially because they might be aware that Day Trade are going to be right behind Tyloo, so no real reason to try and overcommit onto this. At this point in the game, it's not so much about getting kills, even though that is nice. It's more just about whittling down your enemy, so you can then have better, proper maneuvers into the mid to late.
Much rather Mel getting those long-range tags, as you said, whittle them down a little bit, and then if Tyloo continue to push, example, an Uber can play the crossfire a little bit better, rather than basically a solo pushing out as the solo man up front. 10 more seconds until phase 4. Day Trade getting involved with as well, so a bit of a pincer has now actually happened onto Tyloo. Look at that map. They are surrounded by all sides. They have to fight their way out of this position, either through Na'Vi or Day Trade, and we continue to go up north. That is 2 shifts onto the northern side, back to back. Flash will get the knockdown onto Tongs. Tyloo are really feeling the pressure down south.
Wildcard are loving the circle shift. E United especially are going to be loving the circle shift. In fact, they're defending a push from KDF. Flood already gets 1 knock.
Snakers as well. I mean, E United playing the gatekeep role against the Guangdong Freaks really successfully. Kickstart and Flood will still hold the blue, knowing Lash K's a bit further afield. Obviously for Snakers and Rallo to have to wonder about position now, especially on this northern side where it is really open. That is a wonderful nade, and it will get the job done. Uber
steals 1 kill, gets another knock as well. And they're going to want to close this up as quickly as they can because of the hard shift against them, but they can't go too aggressive with it. They don't want to pull a BBL. They want to make sure that it's nice and clean and controlled before they then push into the south side.
There's a push though, Mal getting close to Balmor, so this is going to be a bit of a free-for-all down to the south. Na'Vi still have to contest with Day Trade as well in this vicinity. Neurons is not big-time play Day Trade. Puchils would love to get that revive, but I just don't think they have the time and space to do so. Uber wants to play the rock deep into blue, expecting them to push out. Big push now onto E United from QM. E United do still have the numbers to salvage this. Flood, Kickstart, Snakers all still up. Only Rello got knocked down, and they got at least 1 there onto QM. They're gone. Not a bad effort from E United. Question mark go down into last, while E United rise up the standings.
Ooh, they have another knock against Flood. However, Yoho going to continue to push on this. It's an easy decision to make if you're Yoho. Finding the angle, they spot Snakers, couple of shots in return. They might not be aware of Kickstart's swing down to the other side. He is going to pounce, gets a couple of shots, but again, no knock.
But enough to push Shimboy back. That's the main thing. They cannot get Flood back out though. Big nade from Sparking, and a really good job to confirm that kill. If Flood had have been able to get revived, a full strength E United really would have been able to thwart Yahoo, considering they don't have Punich there with them. He's further back, holding the compound up north, making sure 17 can't wrap him behind them. So really good pressure in this 3-1 push from Yahoo. And especially considering now for E United, just down to the 2 players.
Yeah, the advantage that E United, I was hoping that they would have there on the east side would be the high ground, and we know how much they love to farm damage and kills from a position like that. But QM's push, Yahoo's push, they weren't able to hold on to it as strongly as they would have liked to, so instead it's going to be another send towards the center. New Happy have a similar high ground position, though. They're a little more in control of their current spot.
It was all a bit too much at once for United. Gatekeeping Guangdong Freaks, then they obviously had QM push on them, and then Yahoo, all in the space of about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and obviously faltering. But even though 5 kills, still 2 players alive, you're getting points on the regular from the first 2 games played. That's really all you can ask for is consistency. They've done it so far. I think Yahoo, though, are going to be able to finish them off. Snake is caught at the tree. Molotov really well placed from Shimboy. They will get that knock. Kickstart, of course, as you mentioned, did push forward a little bit, so he can now play as a solo from here, go for a rank tank, see what he can do, and try to maybe get some plays.
Yeah, especially with a shift like this. He has a little bit of protection with the car and the vehicle, making a sandwich of himself. Now Yoho, they are going to be realizing, almost like United did, that their position, despite being on the high ground, might not be as strong as they would have hoped. We see an angle from 17 taking shots at long range up there, and the New Happy, of course, are going to be waiting for someone to silhouette over on their north side.
I love New Happy's position, though. They cannot really get pushed from... I mean, technically, Yahoo could push over onto them. That is something that could eventuate, but I think Yahoo will be very precarious of making sure that 17 can't push it behind them on the north side. So I think they would rather hold north. That way, that means that New Happy just have to worry about the teams coming from the south side, so they don't have to move too much.
TMA, they have to move a lot. While we're talking a bit about the teams that are in the zone in Phase 5, the teams outside, it's wide open sends into the few compounds that are already there and already held. And so TMA, they need to go on and push onto 17. Similar situation, Navi get eliminated by Cerberus.
That was the solo there from Uber pushing for the blue. So Chu could spray successful onto Lulu always. But Shao DD gets knocked by Shao High. Yuppie with the rock as well. What a spray onto Show. The transfer's pretty decent as well onto Suju. Lil Ghost is still alive and he will be the last one standing now. Crazy. He gets taken down by the blue. So Yuppie and Shao High, who just got off that first aid kit and is still trying to heal on up. There goes 17 Gaming. A massive game number 1, but only 2 points gained from match number 2.
TMA are coming out with some huge numbers. 2 games in a row coming away from the opposite side of where Circle 1 was, and they are prepared to fight every single time.
Very interesting fight here. Compound not in the circle. Minute left. This has to be quick from both teams. Haisaki pushes up Adam with a good tag. The nade from Haisaki knocks himself down. He couldn't get it in through the window. Himas and Taikon, last 2 up. Taikon, though, no longer. Big nades from Wanka, Kamukau, and Nikus is very successful. Adam wanted to push out with the DPS, but guess what? They're all gone. Petulans will finish them off for Twisted Minds. Cerberus, like 17, big game 1, but have faltered in game 2.
Good hold by Wildcard, helped by Cerberus' own unforced errors, but now the question is, where can they go? They held off the backfill, they held off the push, but everywhere else in the open is, in the circle is out in the open.
And I was going to say, are they aware of teammate in the blue? Well, guess what? The kill feed says yes, because Crackshot got the kill into Yuppie. Free pick up there for Wildcard. Kickstart just trying to stay alive. James said no, but Kickstart says, doesn't matter, I already got us a placement point. Job done from Kickstart at the very least. And we'll get rid of Shao Hai. So 2 free kills for Wildcard. But here come Yahoo. Look at the space that Yahoo have. They are the kings of the north at the moment.
Well, there's nothing else there, so they can have those great grand lines of sight between Billfrost with the covering fire on the opposite side of the zone, while the rest of the team, even Sparking in a vehicle, is trying to push. Sparking wants to get involved. He's that thirsty for a fight, that's thirsty for a kill.
Well, the Northmen have to now come down south over towards New Happy, along with Overpeakers, who have a very, very nice 2-2 split, controlling a lot of this basic circle. Shots now back and forth between Yahoo and Wildcard.
Shinboy with 2, but he has to back away. Punich gets confirmed. This could give an opportunity for Wildcard to get the revives that they need to get back up. As for, I don't think Belfrost has the angle, but Sparking has the grenades.
Smokes were dissipating, but they threw out a couple of more fresh ones, so the cover should still be there to go for the revive. Oh, never mind, bye-bye, Nick, as that was a wonderful nade from Sparking. He has been able to hit quite a lot of those this tournament. Now, Mexi and James in some trouble. They are the 2-2 split that pushed forward for Overpeakers. They do not have Varden Klib, and it is evident. Both down, out for the count. Spyro to collect for Twisted Minds. Well, he was at least able to stay alive for longer there for TM. They'll take some very valuable points from this second match. They go to 15 in total, double-digit kills. We are down to our final 4 teams remaining, though, all around the middle pack at the moment.
Yoho backing away from that fight on the west side because they need to get into the zone. A little bit of space that Billfrost has confirmed for them. It is going to be New Happy, though, with the strongest position in the circle. They have 4 kills. They're in a position to pick up a lot more with how much space they also have.
So why Kikamukau? Last one alive for Wildcard, still top 4, 6 kills. A successful game for them. Now has to take on Varden Klib. He cannot get rid of Klib. And it is Wildcard out in 4th, and it comes down to New Happy, Yahoo, and Overpeakers. It's Group A that we've got here.
Group A, best group. Yahoo right now. Belfrost trying to find the angles. New Happy are a little split attention-wise, understandably so. They have north as well as the southwest of them, and we still have 2 phases to go. So any of these teams could have that advantage. The problem is, like, New Happy probably have the singular best spot right now, not just being close to the circle, but with the amount of positions that they can play that has good cover for offensive measures.
I would still count on Varden Klib, though, third partying, if they get a sense that they can push. If Yahoo and New Happy both collide, I think they both will understand that they have to go then and third party onto New Happy, which is the more likely opponent. So Yahoo kind of get a free swing at this in a way, in terms of pushing on to New Happy. But they also have spotted out Overpeakers. So you kind of ask the question here, do you allow Overpeakers to stay up and then take on New Happy, or do you just collect what you can get?
Definitely collect what you can get right now. If you're Yoho, you have angles on a couple of different spots, a couple of different areas. It's your host to keep Overpeakers essentially pinned on down. Ming Ming might have we're going to have the best position right now to try and establish who is the healthiest of the squads.
New Happy also trying to collect there onto Overpeakers. Glib will be forced to heal. Phase 7 circle will be shifting now. Does it go north there for Yahoo? Not quite, but they are inside of the circle, and Overpeakers are not. They will lose their cover. They will lose their position. But what they basically now are banking on is Yahoo pushing into New Happy. If that does happen, it will give Overpeakers a chance to make the crossover.
That's a big if. Yahoo or know that Overpeakers are out in the open and are the weakling in this. The run to the litter that we're looking at right now. They're going to be focusing on Overpeakers. Wait to see them step out and try and collect those 2 kills for themselves. Not let it go over to New Happy because it's only round 2 of 10. But these are still the 3 teams that are dead middle of it right now.
That very successful in Group A, obviously. Everyone was successful from their respective groups here, but New Happy are holding still, and same with Yahoo. All of the pressure is on the duo of Overpeakers to make a move, and they are doing so. Getting into the Dacia, making their way over to Nan. Nan shuts it down there and says, no chance here getting up my hill. Clib is gone, so is Vard. Job done. Now we get to the final showdown. Yahoo and New Happy, 3 versus 3.
And already used the second Overpeakers went out. New Happy put a focus on the north side. Non even pushes up a little bit. You don't want to give up that position necessarily. You could still find a nice little off angle from that spot, but both these squads can only really stay on the east side. I say that Non is actually going to be looping down below, maybe to try and find some gear off of the boxes from Overpeakers. That does seem to be the case right now, but he also might be looking for a cheeky little off angle that could catch Yahoo off guard.
No grenades though on that death body. So that's something that they would have liked to have got a bit more of.
Bit of damage on a Ming Ming. He's going to back away. Giving space to Yahoo, and they're going to be sending it in onto this rock, onto this position. Balefrost is still going to be playing anchor on the backside. But that could just be a trap. They know exactly how to throw these grenades. They've done it to Overpeakers. They could be doing it again to Yahoo, but Sparking peaks.
Yeah, and he peaks successfully. Down onto Ming Ming. Nan taking some damage as well. Has to fire back with a bit of help from HS. They do get the knock onto Sparking. Shimboy will peek over, and he will sit down HS as well. 2 versus 1. Balefrost and Shimboy have the high ground advantage from here. Nan going for the revive onto Ming Ming. He can throw out some more utility as well to lay the push from Balefrost and Shimboy, but they will trade revives. They will go for Sparking, so from a 2 versus 1, it will be a 3 versus 2.
Balefrost jumping to find that higher angle, looking to confirm the knock onto HS, but more utility flying in, spotted in the air. They're going to back off. But Shimboy with a nice flank around.
Shimboy's got to be successful here, and he is not. Ming Ming with a massive knock onto Shimboy creates the 2 versus 2 environment here. Now it's pretty dead even, and Nan going for a wrap down the bottom. Will Yahoo be expecting this though? While Ming Ming holds, Nan is going for the power move play, and Balefrost is expecting it. Big time play, but Ming Ming gets the trade instantaneously, and he spots the head of Balefrost. What a fight that has eventuated here. Balefrost surely cannot go for the revive. He will stick it for as long as he possibly can. Sparking is watching like a sentry turret. He does die, but job done. He got info that Ming Ming was not pushing.
Ming Ming might be going for a revive of his own end, but Frost not quite confident.
He's committed too long now. He has to probably get off of this one. Gets 1, can get 2. Shimboy gets the final kill for this game. It's Yahoo with a 7-kill win.
My heart was beating the whole time because it was a chess match of revives and rock, paper, scissors of baiting each other out. Do you hold a commit onto this, or do you try to come out?
Do they wrap? Are they pushing? Balefrost watches whether he had the information or not. We're not quite sure, but that was still really, really well played from both teams. I think we really saw them both just giving absolutely everything that they had. Good utility usage. The revives, it felt like a chess match, didn't it? A really big win, though, for Yahoo. Starting well, and just starting strong.
Yeah. And this is such an exciting first 2 rounds so far. It hasn't been one singular team leading everything. 17 and Cerberus, top 2, round number 1. Barely made it through the mid-game this time.
All right, well, we'll shortly. For now, we go back to the desk.
The Americas gets themselves a victory on the board. Yahoo with the win here. Plenty of points to boot. Taking out the leading world champions here in New Happy. Yahoo with a great victory to start things off, Toby.
And a great game for them overall coming into it as well. They in the end of things, they ended up having so much space on the northern side. We saw them with 17 out on the west side against Take Me Away Gaming. I mean, they essentially had control of half the circle.
And some more fun for Kwangdong Freaks in the middle. Ian had some insane plays. 3 kills in the very start of things here. But in general, another northern circle, another kind of home turf circle for some of the teams. But in this situation here for Yahoo, after this, they're definitely saying Yahoo!
That's right.
After this win, but the way that they played that and the trades and how it kind of went off, there is so much high-level strategy that's so interesting.
That car was saying Yahoo as well. That flew away there. Lou getting some nice points on the board.
Very, very beneficial, especially if you have it on your fantasy team.
Oh, that's nice.
In the end of things, though, see these south to north rotation from so many teams in one game. The amount of open terrain you have to cross through leads to exactly what we're seeing here. So many cluster fights in the open, and I mean, I think we lost half the server. At least like 2 proper circles earlier than what one only would.
It becomes a crazy situation in these kinds of circles. I said it before, we've seen so many north circles, but this one in particular, as Toby's saying, so open.
I'm really happy for it's not being the usual high ground, same 2 kind of spots where we have the warehouse and the 2 twin buildings. I hate those endings because it's so similar. Here at least we get a high ground and, you know, or the trenches. Obviously, OVPG has had a hard time getting out of that, but still, they did get a good amount of kills. They did get a good amount of points from the game overall.
Very interesting final moments there between Yahoo as New Happy as well here. Kind of trading reses back and forth, but it will be Yahoo getting themselves the victory here. Game number 2 on Erangel goes to them. Brilliant stuff overall. And let's talk about these final moments as well, as they do get 17 points on the board.
5 teams.
The stalemate that they find themselves almost with the reses. Maybe Ming Ming was going to be the deciding factor, but not to be.
Could have been. I mean, there were, I think, the attempted push underneath, and then you get caught jumping in the open there from Nan.
Yeah.
Had they committed 2, maybe even the 3 they had at the time for an aggressive forward push, they still had flashes to work with as well. That could have been the play, but tried to be creative. Unfortunately, didn't really pay off.
The spot that they have just worked out so well. Like, it's high ground control with hard cover behind you, and it just worked out super well in terms of also getting the knocks. They ended up being in a 3-2 situation that kind of, I feel like that is won them the game. They had a man up, and it was just rough for New Happy, but Yahoo and Shinboy popping off.
Very, very nice indeed here from them as they get themselves the 7 kills on the board as well. Across the board, though, as you say, we had even as well Twisted Minds, Overpeakers also getting plenty of kills here. So they're going to be bumping up quite nice. It's very even so far. It feels like nobody's really just dominating top of 2.
We have way too many stacked teams in one lobby. I mean, it's also one of those where if you miss a bullet, you can be damn sure that you're going to get traded in return. We saw it here as well. Every time a shot wasn't on point, they would instantly fall. And Yahoo, I mean, of course, out victorious in this one. I really love the particular play of them rotating back towards the east once they saw Wildcard kind of occupy or take the attention away from Overpeakers in the pit down below.
The lobbies are interesting because I feel like, as we take a look at the overall top 5 killers here for game 2, 2 even I should say, the lobby's interesting because I feel like because we've never had quite as stacked as lobbies as we're going to have, we're almost going to watch it unfold before our eyes in terms of how all of these teams are going to interact with each other, and we're all going to kind of learn together because, as Toby says, there are too many good players in this lobby.
Yeah, and here the total leaderboard, of course, 17 game in top, but I want to say this still. Yeah. There's so much mechanical individual skill on these teams, and as we're talking about, and as the players have said in some of the interviews even, you are literally going to lose if you don't hit your first few bullets because the other guys are so good. And also, the barrel versus F4 is super interesting because if you get it close enough, the barrel wins nearly almost every time.
All right, so important thing to note about this, once again, just to reiterate, top 8 after 10 matches goes to the grand final. So even if you're first, or regardless if you're first or 8th, you will be going to that grand final, which does create an interesting potential moment here, Toby.
Oh, for sure.
The fact that you've got, 17 doing well up to the top, but all you have to do is get top 8.
And that's the thing, right? Because we mentioned it again, with the amount of teams in this lobby, what we're seeing right here, right now, could be turnaround just coming into the next game, was every single team in this lobby could pull off a 15+ kill win.
All right, well, it's time for a break, guys. Thank you very much. We're going to go to that, and when we return, we have one more Erangel coming your way here for PGC.
Daytrade Gaming, the best team in the APAC. Let's go. Hi guys, hello. Well, where were you heading? What did you do?
เพิ่งไปถ่ายทีมชูตติ้งมาครับ
Hey, I just want to have a short interview with you guys and a little quiz time. Do you have time?
โอเค
Okay, let's go. Follow me. Welcome to Dubai Daytrade Gaming. Can you introduce yourself?
ชื่อเบลมอสครับจาก Daytrade Gaming ครับชื่อบินจากทีม Daytrade ครับ
Have you met other players from other teams or other regions so far?
ก็เจอแล้วครับมีทีมจีนแล้วก็ยุโรปแล้วก็อเมริกาครับเจอมาแล้วเวียดนามยุโรปก็คือว่าเจอเริ่มจะครบทุกโซนแล้วแต่ว่ายังไม่ครบทุกทีมครับ
You guys were not that good in last year but became so strong this year. How could you become so strong this year and how could you be so consistent toward this year?
ก็พวกเราเตรียมตัวมาทั้งปีครับปีนี้ก็มีความมั่นใจมากครับที่จะทำได้ดีกว่าเดิมในครั้งนี้ครับ
You guys might not be the first and second in the PCS stat leaderboard, still high, but your team is all about the teamwork.
ก็ด้วยความที่เราเล่นมานานเราเล่นมาประมาณ3ปีเล่นด้วยกันครับแล้วก็เรารู้ว่าข้อผิดพลาดเราเป็นยังไงแล้วเราค่อยๆแก้ไขมาตลอดเลยครับก็ทำให้ประสบความสำเร็จใน PCS ด้วยครับก็คิดว่านูรินเป็นคนที่ไว้ใจได้ตลอดครับเชื่อใจได้ ก็เหมือนกันเลยครับคือเชื่อใจเพื่อนมาตลอดเลยครับว่าเพื่อนทำได้อยู่แล้ว
So this is the first time coming into PGC. How do you feel? It's going to be very much different from PCS.
ก็ตื่นเต้นเหมือนกันครับเป็นครั้งแรกของผมด้วยใน PGC หวังว่าจะทำให้ดีที่สุดครับในการแข่งขัน
Which team do you think is the biggest rival in PGC 2022 for Daytrade Gaming?
ก็คิดว่าเป็นแชมป์เก่าอย่าง New Happy เหมือนกันครับที่แข่งแต่ง
Any words to New Happy?
See you
Short and clear. What would be your determination into PGC 2022?
ก็พวกเรา Daytrade Gaming จะทำให้เต็มที่ที่สุดครับแล้วก็จะทำให้ดีที่สุดใน APAC ครับ
You can enter in freely, but when you want to go out of this rug, you have to get right with some quiz. We're gonna have a quiz time. So I'm gonna give you 4 keywords.
PGC
Do you know which player this is?
Number 2
Number 2. You're right.
Sound
I'm gonna play the sound.
MK12
Oh, easy? Was it easy? I want you guys to wear the eye mask.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a random gift. Nurin's first here.
อ๋อเขาให้เลือกเหรอเขาให้เลือก
Okay, this for Nurin's and for Balmouth.
โอ้อันนี้เป็นตึกแน่เลยเขาให้เลือกอะไรก็ได้เหรอ
But only one.
เอาตึกดีกว่า
This? Okay. Take off your eye mask. Gold one.
I got go เฮ้ย
Oi.
นี่ไงอันนี้เป็น
Do you know what
Burj
this is?
Khalifa
Oh, Burj Khalifa, yes. What are you? Do you like it?
Yeah I'm so rich
You're so rich.
ชอบครับชอบก็รู้ว่าเป็นตึกก็เลยหยิบมาเพราะอันอื่นไม่รู้ว่าคืออะไรแล้ว
First thing you picked was the gold one.
โอ้อ้าวทำไมไม่เห็นว่ามี2 อันเลยอ่ะ
PGC 2022.
Daytrade Gaming Fighting
So 2 matches into the winners bracket now concluded. Of course, 8 still to go. A lot of time for the teams, Cameron, that have struggled through the first 2 matches, and largely a pretty even top 3 now, all around that sort of 20-point margin after 2 games played.
Yeah.
It does help probably everyone that the top 2 aren't necessarily already soaking up all of the points. Obviously, Cerberus struggling in that game, same with 17, opened the door for the likes of Yahoo.
Yeah, the problem is, though, is that we're looking at only 2 games, but within the context of there being only 2 games, it's seeing a gap develop between like 12th and 11th, 12th place. So the bottom 5 specifically really need to start having good games now. I mean, TMA has survived the Sovsnovka, whatever we want to call them, but BBL, KF, as well as the other teams around them in that area of the leaderboard, like their buffer is gone.
Yeah, those teams on Sosnovka Island, they need to sort it out. They need to probably have a parlay, a truce, because they all need to start playing the game. I know it's only 2 games, but 2 games turns into 4, which is then halfway. It's only 10 games. You cannot be affording to start this slow for much longer. It's fine now, okay? 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5 points after 2 games, but you need to pick up the pace considering the talent that is in this lobby. We head back in for match number 3. Erangel once again off the back of a Yahoo victory. Game 3 underway.
Last Erangel of the day, we get a bit of a different plane path towards the west, a little more south-southwest focused, so I would be surprised if we saw another repeat Circle 1 that we've seen essentially 2 in a row. However, this means that we could go down to military base. And there's only 2 teams down there now. Wildcard have returned to Novo. TMA are down there. KDF have bailed. BBL have bailed. Where are KDF going to go? Are they going all the way to Sarky or just North George? Dropping out this late, I have to think Sarky.
Yeah, I'm probably in agreement with you there. And obviously this does mean it concludes that Sosnovka Island issues that we had in the first 2 games with BBL no longer there, Freaks no longer there, and Wildcard firmly entrenched inside of Novo. I'm very curious to see, though, what this circle is going to do. We've had North after North, especially back when we had Group A, very northern circles there as well. Do North one more time. No, dead center. Okay, what I would consider a bit more of a vanilla Erangel to close out our Erangel games for today, and I don't mind it.
It's not vanilla just yet. There are still a couple of pockets in this area of the map that have a few interesting, intriguing, exciting to us, maybe not to the players, things going on. But yes, rotation's going to be a lot more straightforward. It's going to be a mixed bag of how far you have to move, you have to travel. Yahoo here, winners of the previous match, looting up in Shelter. Balefrost finding some good weaponry down here.
So obviously BBL, they go to Gatka. They've moved away from Sosnovka Island. 2 games they've played, 2 games they haven't really been able to do much in terms of their own volition, except, I mean, in theory, the last match that they played, they did go for that bridge camp just north of the crossroads, and it wasn't that bad. They even had Quip Radio Tower, which I think would have caught Guangdong Freaks off guard a little bit, and then they just decided to send it in and take that fight, and it all fell to pieces from there. So a little bit unfortunate for BBL, but this is going to be a game where they should be able to rotate, get to positions, play the game a little bit, and the same can be said, obviously, for the Guangdong Freaks up in Zaki.
Yeah, one would hope. I like their drop positioning that they're at right now, where we're seeing them currently loot up. It is right just within inside the edge of the zone. It's actually quite a wide spread because the Gatka Fields area, the compounds are so separated out that you are essentially given. You don't have to fight other teams for the singular locations, which means that your geographical space can be quite wide, which means that they have a pick of where they want to stay on this west side. The problem is you don't want to wait too long looting up if you're that spread, because if there's a team that feels cheeky, feels a little fast on the rotate, then they could easily just bomb it onto a singular isolated individual. But as long as you're aware and prepared for that, you can have a couple of nice options.
Overpeakers on our screens at the moment, 11 points through the first 2 matches. Not too bad, not too shabby. 9th place currently, but I can't help but feel some of that aggression that they had on the first 2 days of the group stage has waned a little bit as the tournament has gone on. They have calmed things down, but ironically, it's when they had that massive amount of aggression that they were finding their most successful games taking place. I do wonder, do you back
especially is because they likely caught a couple of different teams off guard who themselves are trying to find their footing. Their nerves was perhaps a little bit higher, and so Overpeaker was there to catch them when they were slacking, essentially. But nonetheless, they have been playing a little more defensively, a little more more conservatively, and you can chalk that up to where the circles have shifted, the timings of their rotations and running into teams that were there ahead of them. I'm not saying that Overpeakers are necessarily intentionally playing into the conservative play style, but yeah, I do agree with what you're leaning towards of actively to go aggressive, take early fights.
Obviously, they had that early in compound, so couldn't really do a whole lot from that in the last game, but still were able to push out, try and be somewhat aggressive where they could be without probably being over-aggressive. Obviously, for the Freaks, they're going to have to be up in Zaki. They'll have to rotate from the north side, pushing down into the south end of Erangel. Rather central, though it means they don't have to go too far on their rotation. A team that basically snuck into Group A, I'm going to be honest, in terms of the top 8. They were not in the top 8 for very long. It was more towards the end of day 3.
Yeah.
And they did not have as many points as their compatriots in Group A as wildcard. Move from Novo. No bridge camps. This time they get through cleanly. Not only that, Farm Milta already clear as well for them, so they'll have a free time pushing up into this circle for wildcard, who had a very, very decent game in that last match. 14 points for them, so averaging 7 points a game, that will probably get you top 8.
Just barely, but top 8 is top 8. Whether you slide on in or whether you take it with an iron fist, relevant in the eyes of the lobby. James, eyes on Na'Vi, shots go out, but not a single bullet lands, so the opportunity is going to be missed, the opportunity closed. As example, does fall away. They give a little bit of space up to Overpeakers, but I don't know if Overpeakers are going to be looking to go particularly aggressive now that their position has been made aware.
Yeah, I mean, what do? You take that space and elect to push up Potato Hill and really contest for this? It's not bad, center circle, really good position. Potato Hill can be susceptible to sort of multiple angles of aggression. I don't sense Overpeakers will want to get too crazy with this, but maybe they have actually decided to get on that front foot to be aggressive once again. They are moving closer towards an RV.
I mean, they didn't get a knock, they didn't get a kill, but they still forced example back, and so that space, open and available, you'd be a fool not to take it. Don't go too far, don't overextend with that, but with your Ho that was just on the east side, it's definitely a consideration you need to have. Tyloo right now here rotating in from Georgia Pole into Sunken. Standard, straightforward rotation for them, finding some extra loot at this spot. No one's they're sitting pretty by Overpeakers. They're nice that Na'Vi have given that space up, but Na'Vi are prepared for Overpeakers to then be retaking that space. And if Overpeakers are not too careful, they could drop ahead.
And they've kept Mexi back though, so it's only 3 up on Potato Hill for Overpeakers. They've taken some space. Vard can peek out off the back of the UAZ noise that James is making, bait essentially.
Yes.
But it doesn't quite pull out Na'Vi too much. They will peek out where they can safely. I think the goal there from the Overpeakers in maybe sensing that Vard is in a position that Na'Vi wouldn't have been quite aware of, but look how far back Na'Vi have pushed. I mean, as you said, they have given up that space to Overpeakers. They have kind of invited them into the top of Potato Hill, but Overpeakers have a 2-1-1 split. Mexi stayed back at their original location at the compound. Clib watching the backside of Potato Hill, making sure no one can push in behind Vard and James. So it's kind of intriguing to see how this is going to take place. Kickstart is here aware of Nan up close. Well, he won't quite put himself into a position to get shot at. Now will hold and have that trigger discipline to not give away what is essentially a vulnerable position. And E United get the sense that they will get out of here.
Volcano can be powerful, but they're not comfortable taking it. I don't know if they spotted Nan. I don't think that they did, but lucky for them, they do leave because Nan would have been in a critical position to disrupt E United's position. So they're going to back away, not going to test it too early on. They find a decent spot as well. Not quite as strong, but in phase number 1, it's, what's a little bit of less space.
And phase number 1 with this kind of circle as well, right? It's not a ridiculous phase 1 circle with 50% water or something like that. You've got a dead center phase 1 circle, Erangel. There's a lot of space. A lot of buildings, a lot of compounds, a lot of places you can try and play for. You don't have to get too aggressive, too crazy. Phil first, question mark, no points for them. The only team after the 2 matches played, now heading into match 3, that still have not been able to pick up a point.
TMA rolling up. Find a spot. They know QM's shooting at them. Looking to see if they can't find an angle of their own. Cerberus now coming in from the west. BBL pushed towards the east. Cerberus are taking over that position. But back here over to Overpeakers. James maybe tried to go for another bait situation. Takes a lot more damage this time around. Falls away. And it looks like Na'Vi aren't too particularly comfortable with Overpeakers contesting them, challenging them all too much. And so they're pushing forward, and in return, I think James is backing away, understands potentially that Na'Vi are looking for a fight, and with 50 seconds left on phase number 1, wouldn't necessarily be the smartest decision to try and commit so heavily, even though this is really close to center of the zone.
Level 1 helmet as well. I wonder if he just caught the body shot from Alia with the AWM. And that's forced him back. Obviously, didn't quite get to see just how aggressive Jim's got there, how further he tried to push. But obviously, you know, he's in a situation he can just kind of fall back to what they've already gained. Na'Vi have been already very generous in allowing overpeakers to hold this position. I do wonder if it's almost a trap in a way. If this does center in, do Na'Vi sense that they've got to get rid of these guys before they fully group up? I mean, Na'Vi probably are not aware that Mexi and Clib are not quite on Potato Hill with Vard and James. But do you look to get rid of those neighbors if it does center up? We'll have to wait and see. Phase 2 coming our way shortly here. Everyone's pretty happy with their positions right now, but it may change. Ooh. And it does not quite center up. Down towards the south, a lot of that water still in play as well. Yeah. The cliffs in play. And suddenly positions like Farm and Pachinki Fields, it looks quite strong. Snake Way as well. And even Day Trade are pretty happy to just go down to the compound at the cliffs. Wildcards just sort of north on the other side of that. A lot of teams up north now have to push down as well. So the entire lobby is just going to sort of drip feed down to the south.
But for Wildcard and Day Trade, how much space are you willing to give up? Because you know it's going to pull away from water anyway. So Wildcard, they're going to stay put in Snake Compound. Na'Vi, as we see, just rotate to the north of them. Because in mines right now, Petula knows that Tyloo have rotated into a package compound, package area. He's getting ready to pounce if CC 108 maybe stays a little bit too long. He's going to start firing. That's the sign I was waiting for, but no! Oh, I don't know if Tyloo are aware of the danger that they're in right now.
Oh, Petulans couldn't quite get he shot before.
Yeah, not a sport landing. He's going to back away. Little party beep.
Yeah, I always love those little horns beeping away. It's just like, all right, we know you guys are there. So Na'Vi have elected to give up Potato Hill entirely to the
that location, hold that spot. It's very, very open in terms of cover. It's even a little bit on the lower ground. But Donawa are going to be one of the teams that needs to start to look for something. 10th place, not the worst, but they're going to need to try and climb higher, especially on this round. KDF rotating in, just past school, free space. They find it open, and for a team that's coming in with such low priority in terms of rotation, not a bad idea just to stop here for now. Use it as a little bit of a pit stop, try to get some information up that hill as much as you can.
You know you're coming in late, you know that you're not going to get those center positions, you know, especially considering you've come from Zaki, those priority spots will not be available to you, so you just take what you can get, you kind of then hope for a very north hard shift back up to your position that you can then play from. If this keeps going south though, or at least in a southern direction, I think this will probably just center up. They'll have to play a lot more. They are pushing out of apps though, and trying to take some space over towards the hill. The Vectix will catch Hikari. So KDF, while trying to get a little bit more space, have pushed straight into Twisted Minds. But Vectix has played this well, Ian though being able to try and force him back. And a card too, lands a tag onto who is by himself at the moment. Cannot afford to get knocked. Petulans in the minimap driving by, close, but has elected to not go for the straight help or the beeline. He's now getting that help from Lou. Nade falls short of Hikari.
Again, like, Twisted Minds don't want to overcommit onto this because in a matter of moments, the circle could pull far, far away from them. So I like the Petulans maybe perhaps looking for an angle to deal some damage into KDF, but really the name of the game is to get their teammate out of that spot, and they are able to do just that. Perfect timing as well, because it goes into the direction of the medium shift towards the northwest, towards Pachinki Fields, where now 17 have the center, and they have a wide spread of compounds there. Maybe they'll group up into one singular location.
Yeah, I mean, there's just way too many compounds to hold there with the split that they had. Lulu always gets a elimination onto Lambu, who was rotating past. Hallen, Salute, Soul. How many times are they a duo or trio? Tapped once again for Danoa. They do find a position in the bowl, though, here in the Pachinki fields, and Pachinki is going to be a center factor here in this game.
GMA now. Small, singular location, but they're protecting their vehicles. That's the important thing. Even though it's going to be a little difficult to get that out, but, you know, you'd like to be able to have the options.
Practically neighbors with Danoa, but not in a position to fight each other.
They don't want to waste the grenades by just trying to go dynamite fishing at the moment anyway. And when he goes later into the, if the circle continues to center up, later into the game, it's just going to be bomb. It's going to be a artificial red zone, man-made red zone in that area. But for now, you don't want to waste the utility because we're still early enough in the game that it could go into a completely separate part of the zone.
That elimination onto Lambo, by the way, our only death so far this game for match 3. A stark difference to what we had in match 1 and match 2, respectively. Both those two games, super aggressive. Obviously a hot drop, some bridge camps. We had it all in the first 2 games, but this one is shaping up to be your standard Erangel, center circle, over towards Pachinki. Not a whole lot of fighting just yet, but it is brooding,
yeah,
building.
It's a lot more of a white tie affair, a lot more polite, high society. But like most high society, we all know that it's all a facade, and these people are gnawing at the bit to try and take some shots at each other. New Happy rotating up. Unsure of their information they have on overpeakers, but of course Yahoo, they know well and good that they are right there past them on the other end of the zone. So they might put a little bit of extra emphasis on stopping the backfill.
Oh, clear.
Oh boy, yes, but this is where the trap is lying.
So overpeakers do have the intel that New Happy pushing to Potato Hill, and Klib can hear the shots now in front of him rather than probably to his right. He is playing off of the overpeak. Obviously, again, not fully grouped up. Mexi continues to play the solo, so they are playing as 3 on the hill. And then Yahoo has now been spotted by Ming Ming and co for New Happy. So they'll be watching that rotation to make sure that they don't try to push in on the backside of Potato Hill. Yahoo have to also get all the way past the Guangdong Freaks after New Happy. This is going to be a very, very dangerous rotation. In fact, so much so, it looks like they're just going to go straight into a card and Hikari.
Might as well. Got to take the fight. You can't be sitting out in the blue for too long. You can't be taking shots from other teams for too long because you know they're just going to start to hit you, tag you more and more. But Hikari gets one down.
Hitting anymore, well, almost so. A wonderful effort, and here comes the push from Overpeakers. Klib from behind the rock throws out the nade. He's getting pushed though. It was a little bit of bad timing. Unfortunately, Nan has caught him at the wrong time. Klib will get punished, take it out, gone. So there's a free kill there for New Happy, but this position no longer valuable with that southern circle shift for phase 4, away from Pachinki, away from the fields as well. And again, that drop feed has now turned into a fountain down south. Everyone just has to rotate. Zhao Yang got by Zhao Hai and Crazy combining, and Yahoo continue their rotation, or what's left of it, towards this shack. TMA will be able to watch this, and I think TMA might be able to punish that later.
They're still having to hide themselves because they're getting shot at a little bit of a high ground from 17 as well. Twisted Minds making a follow-up rotation. Going to stop a little short, it looks, or at least considered it.
Oh, this fight's still happening though. It has not concluded yet, and it is going the way of New Happy. So a kill for Zipyan, 2 for New Happy. And the Overpeakers have lost this fight rather convincingly. Never really were in it. Klib had the surprise advantage. Wasn't able to do much with that, and from there, New Happy have been able to take over Potato Hill, which, as I said, no longer inside of the circle, so New Happy now have to get moving as well. Suju with a spray onto a card. Guangdong Freaks making their way towards the center. Lash K, how is he still alive? A card did go down. Quetpa getting that kill. Salute will collect this one for Danoa, so that's a very valuable point for them, considering they too are wounded after losing Lambo. The ball gets cracked, but they are defending it really well. Might just collect 2 more kills here. Knock from Ian. Really nicely done onto Salute, but he's the last one alive. He cannot deal with that powerful duo of Salute and Helen.
Really rough rotation for KDF. The other option, Danoa take a couple of scraps themselves, but they hold on strong for now. New Happy pushing in from the north side. They get eliminated to 9 kills on over, but didn't survive too much themselves.
Yeah, Shimboy was the one that actually got that final elimination there onto New Happy. So 18 points from 3 games for them on the precipice. 6 points a game. They'll be okay with that one. Helen, Salute again. How is it always these two alive for Danoa? Well, actually, no, it's actually Sol this time. So Helen's got a new partner in crime. Show pushing close. Lulu always from behind, though. Unfortunately for Helen, he can do as good as his job as he wants against 17, but he's got nades raining in and around him. They succumb to those nades. They succumb to the pressure from both sides. Danawa eliminated.
TMA decided that Danawa was the bigger threat than 17. Wanted to try and get that maybe last kill, last point. But that's going to give 17 the opportunity to get revived. Shinboy, last one on the north side for Yaho, trying to group up with the rest of the team or find something. But that was a headshot from I don't know where, but now driving through Twisted Minds territory. They weren't there with that first initial rotation by his squad. They're surely here now.
That's a wonderful shot from Flash with the mini. 6 times, yes, but still that distance. Not an easy shot. And that rotation from Twisted Minds has been rewarded with a phase 5 circle shift and continuing to run out of positions of safety now. No more real compounds really left inside of this circle, not a lot at least.
It's been rewarded for now. The big question is, can Twisted Minds hold on to that area, hold on to that territory? I have a really bad feeling that they're going to get overrun, but Daytrade, they're a similar position. I love their spread, but Cerberus and QM coming into the location. Tycon with a great spray down, 3 kills from himself, 4 for his team, but they need to continue to push towards the east into Daytrade territory, and Norins is not going to let that happen.
He will punish Tycon for just lingering outside of cover. Question mark after 3 matches still are scoreless on 0 points down towards the bottom, and is shaping up to be a difficult winners bracket for them. So with Tycon eliminated, those Cerberus at least 4 kills, but 2 players still alive, that they can sort of try and find a position of safety inside of this next circle and try their best for some placement points. But they will have BBL behind them, and they will have Daytrade in front of them.
BBL need to try and find that opening. Then the last come out of Mixie, but now back in the wild card on the east side. Now be sending it towards them from the north. Uba makes it a 1-for-1 trade. Example with a follow-up grenade could deal some heavy damage.
Oh, look at the positioning there from Uba, the awareness of that nade. He pushes forward, throws his own nade out along with Example. It's Example's nade that lands onto the feet of Niku's. Adam probably has to hit this one. I think he's thrown it a little bit to the left, and he has, and short too of Uba. Example will finish off Wakik and Mukau. The utility usage from Na'Vi is on point.
17, they know that there's a team there on the south side. Grenades come in on a Xiao High. Nothing blocked just yet. Back over here towards wildcard. Adam goes down. Spray comes out. But it's only Greg Shot remaining. Forced to back away, forced to fall away. And there's not a lot of space there on the east side for him to even move into because E United are holding.
Completely out-utility by Na'Vi. The nades, the mollies, everything was just perfect. They have 4 players alive. They've dealt with wildcard. Greg Shot's rotating straight into E United, who will get this kill. It's Rallo that picks up that one for EU. 9 teams remaining on the bubble now when it comes to those placement points. Who goes out next and gets none? I think it's going to be one of these two, surely. TMA and 17. They are going toe-to-toe, and those nades are now going back and forth. Shanghai, the closest, along with Show. They will be running out of these nades, though, surely, and then you have to just stand up and run and just take the gunfight. Himas actually will go down, so it's Cerberus in 9th. They will avoid the placement points.
It's going to come out. Good knock, but a good trade by Shao BD. Logos there. Who's at the ready? That's going to be deal heavy damage in these trenches. 17 have tried to loop away from TMA, but it's only Shanghai left standing.
Na'Vi are third-partying as well. Uber's pushed over north, hearing the commotion. He's been able to also use that high ground and get some shots in. Got a free kill for Na'Vi. Another southern shift. So this one right onto E United.
Oh, the molly.
The molly's perfect, but Yuppie has been able to stay alive. I'm confused here.
It just hasn't spread on his location. It's wrapped around the box, but he's found the 1 pixel that he can stand in. But
Pixel
they know
perfect.
that he's there. Pixel perfect, but more utility comes on out. Will they know that Yuppie is right behind that rock?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can. You can't play for that intel. The intel has said that that has been mollied. Yuppie's position should be well and truly unknown. He will now make his presence known. He peeks out, doesn't get seen. Daytrade looking to finish off BBL. A wounded BBL. Smash will throw out a last-ditch nade. Yuppie does not survive much longer. Logos will get rid of him. 6 kills for 17 Gaming. They are starting to make light work of the winners bracket, up into first on 31 points.
They haven't killed Smash, but Daytrade are still backing away because they know that they need to worry about getting into the zone themselves. In the blink of an eye, E United have full control there of the zone, but 17, they are not done. They're going to continue to push in. Lil Ghost with the Groza goes absolutely insane onto Yoho, and now Na'Vi are pushing into E United territory. Rella with the rock, forced to fall away a little bit, doesn't want to be caught off guard by the push by Na'Vi.
Oh, the grenade in hand. Unfortunately, he does throw it out in time, but not really into a position, a little bit of damage onto Uber, not much else, and no one from E United was in a position to trade straight away, but has so after some time has elapsed. Nade has been successfully landed onto Example. Another one gets thrown. The bounce is pretty good. Uber's taken low, but they're going for the revive onto Rallo first.
Oh, the grenades! That one's even better. That one's gonna do it. It confirms the kill, gets a second knock. That is absolutely crucial for Na'Vi to try and stay alive here. That means that it's only the Western duo of E United that are going to stay alive.
And that's really a 2-2 split that has been punished. Flood, Kickstart, they wanted to play for position, they wanted to play for space. Out west, like you said, they were not in a position to then fall back, help out, take the fight with Na'Vi. Na'Vi have full control of the eastern side, and they're 4 up to the good. I think they've just created their own space and created their own pathway to a potential chicken dinner.
Only 4 teams remain. That just shows how wide open this area is, how easy it was for teams with third party and day trade. They are ready to climb up the leaderboard. They also have 4 up coming in from the west side. They know where the remaining 2 members of E United are, but that grenade looks powerful.
Kickstart knocked down. An absolute menace for E United in Group B. They started somewhat slow here. Flood last but not gets the kill, wants to get that flush, confirm the point, wasn't able to do so straight away. Flash to stick this one, and will be able to. Oh, that was basically one more tick away. He lets him die out. What just happened?
Smoke might have frightened him.
Did not, what?
The smoke grenade, okay, that has to be what it is. The smoke grenade landing from his teammate frightened him, made him pull off the hold.
And they have full West control. That is such a big mistake.
We'll see if that ends up punishing them. The circle does favor them just slightly. Na'Vi could rotate down there on the south side. We saw the angles that E United was attempting to hold, and it's a good hold if you can make it work. And with only 3 teams up, Na'Vi look very, very poised to do that. However, if they know that Twisted Minds is there on the north, we know how aggressive Na'Vi like to go. They could just say, positioning, we don't care, we want the kills.
Could you imagine a world where E United qualify over Daytrade by 1 point? That would be the set point. It probably won't come down to that, but maybe something to remember in the back of the mind. Well, they still have a good position in dealing with Twisted Minds, but Twisted Minds are 4 up to the good. Patulin's still out back. He is just holding behind, so it's 3 and 1 behind. Lou will get the opening kill. What a transfer as well to hit the headshot immediately onto Neurons. Brings him to half health. He can't really continue to just fight back, keep that pressure on. The Molotov to finish up Pubg. Shields. Flash has to push up here, but yeah, again, Daytrade just don't have the numbers. They're gone from 4 to 2. This has really opened the door for a Twisted Minds Na'Vi showdown in match 3 of the winners bracket.
Na'Vi are taking the southern space, the southern territory. Because of that circle going in that direction, they now essentially have dead center, and they can just punish whoever survives from this fight. They can also even throw utility of their own, assuming they have any left. They've been into a lot of different fights, so the utility is a little bit questionable.
As soon as Na'Vi peek over here, they'll just get 2 free kills on the Flash and Neurons.
Essentially.
They have to push forward, they have to push into the circle. The only thing delaying this is that smoke that is helping out Flash right now. But Twisted Mind's going for the win. They know that they can't just deal with Neurons and Flash, then get third partied. They have to play more for position, and they have to catch Na'Vi off guard. Na'Vi are sort of deathballing here, grouped up as 4 in the center. They're not playing for space. They're not controlling the circle. That might just allow an entry point for Twisted Minds.
The fight north of them has slowed down. And that's meant that Na'Vi are now perhaps questioning where is everyone going, what is happening, but we can also see behind us, so it's very limited space that these guys can go. Twisted Minds, in fact, turn around, partly because they recognize where Na'Vi are, and it's going to be a hard run whichever direction they want to go. And so instead, it would be the correct choice to go into the lesser numbers of day trade.
Okay, this is interesting though, but Twisted Minds, despite what they were doing, have now pushed back over to day trade, making noise. This will mean that Na'Vi will have all the information needed to then push on this third party, get the win. So I thought maybe Twisted Minds would give up this play, go for the win, try and get a position in and behind Na'Vi, but instead they've elected to go back to the duo of day trade. They may sense a chance to be able to confirm second with 2 kills, rather than take a questionable fight with Na'Vi, who have obviously got center position, obviously have circle prior. So 2 kills, never mind. Now they're nading Na'Vi. What is going on here from Twisted Minds? Make up your mind. Example, and Alia will punish the Perfectix gets 1 as he's pushing on to day trade. They're taking a fight on 2 fronts, and all it's really going to benefit is Na'Vi. Na'Vi say thank you very much, and same for day trade. They get a couple of Nox kills from this as well. They go to 10 kills, they'll get second place from this. The nade's perfect. Neurons is low from Twisted Minds at the end there.
Spray comes out from Neurons, he finds a second knock. This could give him the opportunity by well, 3 at this point. This follow-up or revive has already happened on the side of Na'Vi. Neurons out in the open. The timing is just never there for him. He goes down to Na'Vi. Na'Vi get win on match number 3.
Massive win. United really quick in dealing with that 2-2 split, punishing them, going forward, able to just group up, fall into the circle, take benefit for plays from
not top kill numbers across their lobby. It is still wide open for a number of different teams. Has been in the top 4 all 3 times, but they've been lower on the kill count. Slav.
Maybe 17. If I was to put anyone in that bracket that you're talking about, I would probably have 17 still in that bracket, but that's just like one team. Once he played the 3 matches, but a big game from Na'Vi. Uber's happy, Na'Vi's happy, and guess what? EU teams won. On the desk, he's happy as well.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. Getting them out. With the victory, Toby.
A huge game overall. Dynamic pacing of this one completely changed from the first 2 here. It was pretty sick that we only see the first 3 kills come through at 17 minutes.
Yes. It is such a competitive lobby, and you can see how good they are at rotations and figuring out how to play, where to play. The Twisted Minds push into that spot, the Maple Leaf High Ground, the Chinky Hill, whatever you want to call it. So well played by them to scout it, to get in there in a good spot. But Na'Vi, the way they cleared up and the way they played this well was just insane. Also 17 Gaming coming out of course, home turf circle, but still fantastic game for them.
The thing is, for Na'Vi, this is what they do best, right? Yeah. Playing the edge, coming in on teams the way they are doing here, coming towards where you see EU United. And Na'Vi, yeah, they'll take knocks here and there, but they're willing to take those trades and willing to play the edge well.
The thing is how calm they can keep themselves in hectic situations. They claim Potato Hill early on. They then have Overpeakers pulling up. They say, that's not really a threat. We'll just take a step back. Yeah. All of a sudden, New Heavy up there as well. We have Cerberus, we have Yahoo pushing in from behind. Then they start fragging out. They know, like, early on, they've already calculated where all these teams are coming in from. Then they set up their base, and they just start butchering.
And to the point that you were making, Martin, about this, as we watch Na'Vi get the victory and start things off, is as much as we are seeing so many of these situations where, yes, endgame scenarios are slowing down, and Na'Vi gets themselves the win here on Erangel. So many of these fights in the mid-game to later mid-game are over in the flick of a switch. They're so fastly executed.
They're so well calculated, they know exactly when to strike, right? So they're trying to get a fast wipe to make sure they don't get third-party. They're taking these fights at the fastest time possible to make sure they get themselves into a better spot and then take over whatever their enemies were and also get all their utility. 24 points though here for Na'Vi to put themselves into a spot where they're almost halfway to the grand final.
As the boys said on the desk, on the casting desk as well, another 12 points for 17 Gaming, who, I mean, at this point, it's all but a show. It's
a show.
It's a show. They are putting on a show, man. With them getting this many points across these games, and again, still having that central position, they're looking phenomenal.
They would have to really do something extremely wrong in order to not finish on top 8.
No, they're making top 8. There's absolutely no way at this point.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, James's captain is popping off. Example. He almost got flushed, though.
He did. Well, it was close. It was close. I mean, there were multiple times where Example did get knocked.
10 points less. Ooh, but yeah, he survived the Na'Vi, 24-pointer.
Example, ever present, ever extremely potent and dangerous, will be able to get himself the top spot. But yeah, across the board, I think the cool thing about this roster for Na'Vi is that everybody's contributing big. I mean, even Melman might not have in this game in particular, but very, very powerful as well.
I mean, we heard the interview with Example just before as well. What did you guys do different from the terrible, to be honest, PCS7 performance? What did you do coming into this? We didn't have to do much. We have an amazing coaching staff that did the majority of the workforce. We just have to focus on playing the game.
I didn't quite focus on them just yet, but I do want to. Daytrade, Flash, and Nurin's really putting in a lot of work this game.
The classic 1-2 punch coming in from Daytrade. I gotta say this though, once we have these circles here, the compounds, the 4-pack and the double bound compound that United eventually came out of, and Daytrade came in and swung in and got the Western control. The way that they played that was so well executed.
But off of that, to counter it, how often do we see that team with the 4-stack compound down below getting too comfortable in those buildings and then in the end being kept contained inside? DA knew exactly when to send 2 up the hillside to try and make sure no one from Cerberus could wrap around the side, and that's why they are victorious.
Here's the overalls. 17 Gaming will sit up at the top. Na'Vi bumps up quite nicely. Cerberus finds themselves still in the top 3 here, and the top 8, even the Twisted Minds, you know, gets themselves far in this game. Not too many kills on their side, Martin, so they don't quite push themselves all the way.
A little bit less kills, of course, still getting some point there. It's the consistency that matters, but still, from Cerberus on 25 and all the way down to Wildcard on 15, it's just one good game that will put you far into the top 8 still.
Yeah, I think I said it about 6 times that game, Toby, but Little Ghost is a gamer.
I mean, when you're the team playing out of the trenches, trying to make your way out, and there's 3-4 teams with Na'Vi as well, sitting up on the hillside, the fact that it not only got out initially, but finds 3 kills before going down, that should never be possible.
I think one thing to look at this as well, whilst we're 3 games in, is the kills especially, because if you look at the placement points overall, from 1st down to 6th, it is unbelievably even.
It is.
But it's going to be the kill difference that's going to matter here.
Usually we see 65 to 70% of the points coming from kills, and the teams are aware. They're going to be focusing on that. I want to quickly look on the right side of the board, though.
Sure.
A little bit surprised to see both New Happy, potentially OPGers down there at the moment. So hoping to see them to kind of jump into now that we go to Miramar.
It's a good job that Tyler Example's doing so well, because for me, I have Tyloo and Kwangdong Freaks, and they're not doing too well as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time to head over to Miramar now with the casters.
7 matches remaining here for the winners bracket. We head to Miramar for match number 4 here for day 1 of the winners bracket, and it's already shaping up to be a very difficult top 8 to maybe break into. Cameron, we were talking about menu sort of off air just there, the bottom 4 already just lagging behind a little bit. That's then just sort of 4 more teams that are still obviously largely in contention. So that means that if you are in that bottom 4, if you're around that bottom 4, bottom 5 position, you really need to get something from these last 2 games of the day here on Miramar.
Yeah, and we've seen that map swap be helpful to teams in the past. If they're struggling, it gives them an opportunity to reset themselves, because it is literally a different game, or at least a different game state with the terrain that you're playing on and then the drops and all that good stuff. This opening plane path onto Miramar, a bit southeast heavy, and so if you are a team, look at who's the worst off here. TMA is all right. Day Trade, they're not too great off of this, so it doesn't really affect anyone too negatively, especially the ones that are going to have a huge run. Actually, I lied. QM.
What would you lie?
Not looking great. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Also, wait, TMA, that's not where they told us they were dropping. Anyway, bot drop at the ready. Danawa, BBL.
Yeah, and BBL, of course, in the bottom 4, they need points. They need to win this fight. Danawa a little bit better, at least on 13 points. Not quite as desperate for them. Beryl already in hand for Salute, though. That's a nice bit of weaponry. Same for Code Marco. Oh, he's gone with the loot. That's bad timing. So unfortunate for Salute. He's so valuable in these fights. Code Marco and Smash, though, both with some big shots. And that's 2 massive downs, at least there from BBL. Struggling on Erangel, struggling in these kind of fights early on down on Sosnovka Island. And yeah, very successful early here. Shotgun in hand for Hallen, but they've both lost Lambu and Salute.
Oh man, Lambu actually gets confirmed by his own teammates Molotov. Maybe they figured that there was no way they were reviving him anyway, but Smash Jack grenade at the ready. Doesn't, oh, it actually didn't land inside the building, it looks like. Or the room, rather. Hallen is just begging for them to push. Shotgun at the ready, has to reload. But it swings around from multiple angles, multiple sides. Soul with UMP on the outside is the one that's needed to work to save Hallen.
Oh, just shut the door on him there. Oh, timing again. Oh, I'm not going to lie, some of the timing here for BBL has been perfect. 4 kills, 4 early kills, 3 of them to Smash. That is exactly what you need to kickstart your campaign here in the winners bracket.
Yeah.
Only 7 points gained on all of Erangel. They get 4 immediately here on Miramar. Mexi will get an initial knock on to Sia. We'll confirm it very quickly as well with the 2 times Beryl. That'll be a nice start there for Overpeakers, who, you know, somewhat similar to BBL, didn't have the best of time on Erangel and also start well here.
So judging off of the map, that's based off of what the teams have essentially communicated with each other, Overpeakers are not supposed to be where they currently are fighting against Tyloo. That's because TMA were supposed to go to Monte Nuevo, or at least they claim they're going to be going to Monte Nuevo, but then they moved to a different location, and that's sort of given a bit of a domino effect that has now punished Tyloo. There's a replay here of the end of the previous match that Na'Vi were able to come out on top of.
I think really just giving a wonderful example there as to the split minds maybe of Twisted Minds in the end. No pun intended.
It's in the name. It's in the name.
Yeah. You had 1 pushing onto Day Trade, 1 running at Na'Vi, 2 holding back. It was an intriguing push, and obviously Day Trade did benefit a little bit from that. Couple kills, then you get 2nd place.
I have to imagine that Twisted Minds swung to the east and back to the west, that whole different maneuver, because they were just looking and hoping that Na'Vi would reveal something to them, give them the opportunity. They felt trapped in onto the north side, Twisted Minds perhaps, and they wanted to try maybe take a little bit of a gamble instead of just steamrolling over into a bunkered-in day trade, but back onto the Miramar round. Jiang is trying to get revenge onto his fallen teammate. Grenade at the ready, but James is... Oh, no, it's not even James. It's Varb from the off angle, from the side angle. That's a second knock. And a second confirm.
Yeah, Tyler's not going to be happy with this either. They'll feel like their territory has been encroached upon. They've only got the 4 points from what is now 4 matches as well. Averaging 1 point a game is not going to get you into the grand finals.
Not through the winner's bracket, at
Not
least.
through the winner's bracket. They'll have to, I think at this rate, think about their path coming through losers bracket 2. Still some games still to play. A couple of big games is all it really takes to get you back into that top 8 conversation if you are KDF, Tyloo, QM, at least now on our screens, who obviously it's still pointless. They have got nothing to show for the first 3 matches on Erangel. Maybe Miramar is where they can turn it around.
Hopefully, but they are looting there on the south coast of Miramar, and as we saw for Circle 1, it wasn't as far north as the first 2 of Erangel were, but it is still really far, especially when you consider the plane path being south heavy. So they're, once again, going to have to go through a pretty far rotation. You can just tell that their current movement up towards the north is a little unsure, unsteady. They don't exactly know where New Happy or Wildcard those teams in that immediate region.
Have to show out of basically nowhere if they can't get some points from this game and build from this. This is, in my mind, not last game, not last effort. You can have those really big games that come out of nowhere, but in terms of some consistent points and some consistent games, it has to start now for them, Tyloo, and for KDF.
Rotating up, TMA. Pushing in towards the north. They're not going directly into the zone. They're going a little bit on the wide eastern map, perhaps trying to come in from the north side. They should be aware that it's going to be a relatively empty north again because of the relationship between the zone and the plane path. 17 Gaming, though, they are always looking for a fight. They've been winning them so confidently. Spartan caught out the open. Goes back to his vehicle, but tires are immediately punished, immediately removed. And so this is going to be a very interesting situation to try and... Oh, well, never mind. Not even happening at all. United hears the shots. They wonder, wait, what's that? What's happening over the corner? What's happening over that ridge line? Now they pick up a kill of their own.
Still going for more. Sparking is inside of that smoke, but Kickstart close will not really be able to allow Shimboy to make that run across. Shimboy pretty fortunate to be alive there. Kickstart had a really good angle, and if that had been day 1 of Group B, I think Shimboy's dead. That's the way that Kickstart was really starting.
Yeah. To be fair, that's... Yeah. I was a little confused on what you meant at first, but no, yeah, absolutely. He definitely, I got there in the end. Slow start, similar to United, but they are looking good. It's just in contrast to their Group B performance, it's not exactly up to level. But again, it's about hitting top 8. That's the important part. And Code Marco's about staying alive because they had such a good start. Already 4 kills. It would be a shame to go out now.
So Sparking has been confirmed. Obviously, Kickstart not allowing Shimboy to go and get that revive. Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah, never worried.
That was just the replay, by the way, of Danoa's elimination at the start of this game. For those who missed it, BBL confirming all 4 of the kills, 3 of them going to Smash.
I mean, it just shows how good mechanically BBL can be and why, you know, they've sort of ebbed and flow in their strength within the region, but you can never truly ever properly count them out. Problem is, it's about getting into the position to take those fights in a confident way and in a advantageous way.
Yep.
Sending it in from Radio Tower is not an advantageous way to start a fight.
No, certainly not. So 2 more minutes until phase 2. Miramar, of course, starting out somewhat slow. Only really that fight between BBL and Danoa. Obviously, Tyloo having their little battle as well, which has not worked out for them. Average survival time from our first 3 matches, and it's obviously a very small sample size, 3 matches to go off. No surprise, our top teams really from Erangel. What's interesting though, 17 Gaming, 25.5 minutes, well out in front. E United somewhat close, considering of course they didn't find any wins either.
That's a big drop between 4th and 5th, I just realized. It's an entire minute of average survival time. We'll see if they can't pump those numbers up, the teams below them, of course, or actually if 17 just keeps on their winning ways, because, yeah, despite what I said at the end of the previous game, 17 have been in the mix significantly, whether they've made top 4 or not. They always seem to be able to get the kills.
Yeah. Should note with this circle, by the way, north side pretty empty, especially compared to the south. You've got New Happy, you've got BBL, Day Trade, Cerberus, all huddled around the south end of the circle and around Picado's side, but the north side is very open for teams that do want to go for a long ramp. They can go up north, they can then push in from the north down to the south, even really sort of go for a thread the needle play, even as far as close to probably San Martin. 30 seconds till phase 2.
Teams still rotating in, still pushing in. We see E United run away from an approaching Tai Lu.
Wildcard is making said ramp that I was just mentioning. So they will go up north and they will find that it is entirely vacant. If they get a northern shift off of this, they will be very, very beneficial because it'll out for them at the moment. 9 seconds till phase 2.
Everyone's holding their breath, because we know that some of the mountains in this area can be very, very difficult to play. Around it is going to be a medium shift towards the north. E United looking good, Yoho looking good, Tai Lu looking good, TMA and Wildcard going to also be good beneficiaries of this shift because they both made that northern swing that we've been talking about for the past 30 seconds. But Twisted Minds, Na'Vi immediately pushing straight up into San Martin, into the Hacienda area of this map.
KDF also had that western flank, which has worked out well for them. Just north of San Martin. Alia on the move, Twisted Minds as well. And those teams I mentioned before that were on the south side, around Picado, around La Bendita, they obviously have the most work to do coming into this kind of circle. And unlike phase 1, I don't think they're going to be able to have as much of a way to go up to the north and then push in from there, because you've got Wildcard that's already now coming in from that position. KDF obviously pushing out on the western side. TMA already trying to take water treatment. There's not as much there. There is still a little bit of room. That'll most likely go to Day Trade. So what does that then mean for New Happy? Cerberus, you probably have to just push up from the south going into the north, where a lot of teams are already congested.
United right now trying to force away QM, who rotated in just to the east, and now TMA pushing in onto Clip from Overpeakers. So again, a lot of very aggressive maneuvers, despite being earlier on in the game. We see Yoho versus BBL in the kill feed. There's a bunch of action happening. Oh, that's a flash right in Clip's face.
Oh, Clip's in trouble here. He's completely outnumbered. There's no one else from Overpeakers here to help him out, trying to use that smoke. Now, Overpeakers are getting into their vehicles. They may feel like they can get here in time to try and help this. No, they actually got out of the vehicles. They've left Clip to his own devices here. Flash goes out just to maybe just try and get away. I don't think he's looking to take the fight necessarily. It's more so just defensive positioning. Just try and play the smoke as best as he can, but it is dissipating. And again, as I said, no one from Overpeakers is making their way over here at all. They are not on the move. They are not coming to save the day. As Dante gets knocked, he will be eliminated. Tycon will take that one. Clip does get one. He should go for the kill. And now he goes and pushes out, looking for more, but he didn't have the numbers. Could have honestly just got the flush onto Lulu always. Elected not to. Take Me Away Gaming will take the kill. They get rid of Clip. But yeah, as I said, Overpeakers did not even entertain the idea of making their way over.
Way too risky. The number of teams that are in the area, getting to that position would have been a coin flip in a way. So I don't mind the fact that they were forced to keep Leaf Clib by himself, hold on to their position with this northern shift. Everyone else is maneuvering around. QM trying to pull away from E United and Cerberus, but where are they going to go? They're going into that same area that we just saw action happening.
This was a minute ago from Yahoo. And the spray down onto BBL. They are now down to 2 players. That was Quetpa and Cope Marco eliminated. So 40 seconds until phase 3. Question mark now, after losing Dante, have lost Phil first. Down to 2. Aduzi and Hobbit still on a donut, and it may continue. What a shot from Shimboy with the MK14. Aduzi spinning around hopelessly, kind of as hopeless as QM at the moment.
Smokes out, healing up before going for the revive. It's center, that's something, but the angle that Yoho has, those vehicles are going to go up in flames. Hoping for the vehicle explosion to finish off that still has 0 points. Circle stays in this general area. Slight shift towards the left. The revival on a Hobbit does come out.
What do you do if you're KDF? Do you group up? Do you try and play space early phase 3, considering the circle, considering this lobby? Right now, they're holding their split. It's largely central. Does that invite pressure? Does that invite a send?
With the open flat area around KDF, yeah, you might want to think about condensing on up, but they don't seem to be moving just yet. Twisted Minds, Patulin holding off the south side, watching the backfill. His team went to San Martin very, very early, and because it hasn't been the center of the zone, we haven't seen that sort of urban finish, like everyone bombing into it round after round.
What a seat swap from Tycon. Oh, actually, never mind. He wasn't seat swapping. Still a really good shot there on the move from that distance. So phase 3, right on top of that QM position at least. They might be able to do something from there as a duo. So many teams in and around that position though. Daytrade have made their way up north. There's Wildcard making their way away from water treatment. It's New Happy that have done also a lot of rotating from the south side. They now make their way in from the west. And Wildcard do group up into a really good position, but you can see on the horizon, HS popping up. New Happy will be pretty much close by to Wildcard and Daytrade there too. A lot of teams in that vicinity.
We've lost one team already, but I have a feeling that space is becoming very, very limited right now. E-United and Cerberus rotating next to each other. Shots coming out. Haisaki doesn't take any damage. It's actually recovering fire from Tycon. That's absolutely huge.
Haisaki has been knocked out, will be probably eliminated unless Tycon can get a couple more eliminations here and wipe out E-United. Haisaki has not been flushed yet. Nade from Tycon, a little bit off the mark, but a really good spray. Snakers takes the majority of that damage from the nade. Duckmine making his way in as well, so more reinforcements are coming for Cerberus, but Tycon has done a wonderful job. That's going to get kickstart as well. The nades are on point. He just says, I don't care who you are, I'm just going to shift W, run at you, and wipe you out. Oh, it's only Flood left for E-United, and it's only Tyloo that is actually fighting Tycon. Flood, last one alive for E-United. What a solo power play from Tycon.
E-United had no other option but to try and rotate here on the east side, run into Cerberus. It's just been very, very unlucky timings on the side of the North American roster. Flood running away, tail between his legs. Cerberus 4 kills already. They lost Haisaki, but they're in a reasonable enough position, but it's phase 3. I feel like the pressure of this round is still at about to reach boiling point.
At the conclusion of PCS 7 APAC, there were questions. Is Tycon the best player in the region or one of? Right now, he is making a statement at PGC that he is well and truly in that conversation at just 18 years of age after just one PCS event, now at PGC. A dramatic rise to the top, and it's a circle shift, though, to the bottom towards San Martin. And that 2-2 split for KDF, I do think now has to... You reckon they're going to hold?
No, I mean, they haven't gotten to vehicles just yet.
I think Akad and Lash K have to make their way over to
they
Hikari.
Should. They're not yet. I'm really worried about that. That is ambitious. Like that, I'd be shocked, but I mean, they're still not in vehicles. Okay, we'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the idiot. I'm just here at the desk. They're the ones actually playing the game in the winners bracket, so they must know something that I don't.
Well, it's more so the greedy nature of it in my eyes. Phase 4, there's teams up north. You've got Daytrade over Peakers. You've also still got a couple of teams out west. Like, Wildcard may look at that position of Guangdong Freaks and think we might have to push into that compound. But more importantly, then you've got the team south pushing out of San Martin. Where do they go as well? Now, obviously, in terms of information, these teams are probably not aware that it's a 2-2 split. This is just a greed play from the Guangdong Freaks, hoping that the Phase 5 circle, they'll have the split, and then they play off of that circle shift.
New Happy here on the west side. We saw Wildcard just barely, it feels like, beat them to that compound, but the circle shift is going to force New Happy to go through that direction unless they want to make a wrap another which way. Tyloo rotating in onto the survivors of VBL. Good shot, good knock going in from Smash once again.
Oh my god.
He is smashing the opponents. I know the weak pun, but it was right there.
It was there, yeah. I mean,
I had to take it, sorry.
6 kills for BBL, 5 of them to Smash, 13 kills now, and they are very slowly getting out of the bottom end of the standings. Duckmine, that's a long-range knockdown from Uber and a good angle. Not too far, but still a really good kill. Uber having a wonderful tournament so far. Really no surprise to anyone, though. Minute 20 till phase 5. Daytrade trying to make the cross up north, not inside of the circle, and over Peakers obviously trying to just punish them. But I think Guangdong Freaks are going to get away with this 2-2 split phase 4, and all the credit to them. They will be able to play off phase 5, and they should, from that, get best position.
Overpeakers, day trade, where do they go? In fact, where does New Happy go? They don't want to push into Wildcard's compound. They're just going to shift on into a small little position that they can hold on to on the edge, but they know they're going to need to send it somewhere at some point. Ooh, vehicle up. Blood, he's going to try and go for the spray down, or he's going to try and play it safe and quiet and sneaky rat-like.
Yeah, I don't think he's in a position, really, to get too overly aggressive there. The way that the Overpeakers have made that move onto day trade, James has been subsequently knocked down really early in that push too from the Overpeakers, and that's probably given warning to the last two players to just back out and see if they can now play for some placement points. Really unfortunate push there from the Overpeakers, and honestly, 4 matches in, only the 14 points. They do not find themselves really that close to the top 8 at the moment. Phase 5 we go. Surely Cameron KDF will not go for one more circle greed on the 2-2 split. Regardless of what happens from here, I expect them to group up, and they don't really get the circle shift. It's Yahoo that cops the phase 5 circle. Flood goes down to the blue. United out early for match 4.
Yeah, you can tell they're not particularly happy with how these games have been going. They're in a good spot on the leaderboard, but they want so much more. You can tell. But yeah, with that KDF, this is what I was going to ask for. They have to, at this point, condense into one position. This is the superior of the 2 spots that they had. They have to hold the west side and then play once the circle is closed into the east, into the more open area.
20 minutes has elapsed here at match 4. We've got one more match 4 today after this still to play. 10 matches in total for the winners bracket, though. A reminder, there aren't too many more games to play. Every match so valuable, so vital. Wildcard, New Happy. Extremely close to each other on the leaderboard and in the game. And it's Mexi that will get a knock onto Balmorth. It's a strange push from Boochild, but it's really successful. On the back of the buggy, he gets the headshot onto Mexi, but Bard will punish him for pushing close to his window.
It's a very, very Hail Mary play by Day Trade, but it's because TMA have full control of this area. They can just hang out. They can just watch the refugees of these spaces and then just play below that cliffside.
Wildcard's moving. They're in the convoy. They're on the move. They might just be able to collect points as well against Day Trade, but it might go back the other way. The orb, so dangerous from Flash. It did get the knockdown onto Waikika Mukau. I don't think he will get revived. Wildcard just have to keep rotating past, and they will lose one player from that situation. You Happy backfilling in behind them as well on the rotation, on the move. Adam has blown up and losing Wildcard. After losing Waikika Mukau, Wildcard now down to 2.
Again, TMAs is holding strong in this area. They cannot get shot by anyone from the south side, so they have full control. Ducks the vehicle, all into HS, getting shot in the back. New Happy, there really weren't that many options, and they just try and go towards the north.
Himas will get a free kill for Cerberus. Thank you very much, he says. The end of the line for New Happy and for HS is met by Himas. Nickers with a knockdown onto Crazy. Now 17 Gaming making the push, and suddenly it's the northern side of this circle that has seen a large group of teams and players making their way to this position, which is not really in the circle either.
There's a small corner of it, maybe. There's like one building in this compound, which is why 17 actually really good rotation by them, and this forces Wildcard away to contest this compound rather than trying to deal more damage into TMA. One knock already, actually 2 knocks against 17. Shao DD is trying to throw some grenades of his own to trade that back.
Only Nikus and Greg shot though for Wildcard, just the duo that is remaining in the push against the team that is top of the standings right now. Now only remains Nikus and a wonderful angle being held by Shao DD. Shao has been revived as well, playing off of the noise that Nikus is making. Really well played from Shao DD, really good patience, and Wildcard will be eliminated. So 8 teams remaining. Very shortly after Wildcard, it was Cerberus eliminated in 9th. 25 players to the good. 22 minutes and 45 seconds has elapsed here for match 4, our first one of Miramar, and it's Yahoo, Cameron, that are going to be very, very content with the way things are playing out, but here come Na'Vi.
Yahoo already with 3 kills is more than I expected. I was worried that they wouldn't have had that many opportunities to deal some damage, to get a few kills, but it's about getting even more out of this situation. You don't get a shift like this every single round. You want to milk it for all it's worth. Na'Vi do approach, do pit under them. It actually forces Yahoo away because they know that they don't have the resources to defend multiple sides. It is way too large of a compound for that.
5 of the top 7 still alive in this game as well, collecting points, soaking points, may end up making this somewhat top heavy at the back end of today. depending on what happens with BBL, KDF, of course, question mark. They've got a point now. They're on the board, but probably for not much longer if this is a successful push from 17. What a nade from a doozy, though. Hobbit still some ammunition as well in that magazine. He can fire out, and he has to. He gets that final kill. 17 Gaming wiped by QM in the bowl. Really good nade from a doozy. He'll get revived as well from his teammate, and they're still in the circle, and they're making a bit of a run here in match 4, and they needed to, but here comes a push now from TMA, being protected. Hobbit, he just gets crushed, but it's still a bit of valuable cover. But he falls, he dies. It's Akari that gets that kill. Not even TMA get it. 5 kills for TMA. They get the position, they're inside the circle, and a little bit of loot for them as well.
But you can see the openness of the area, unless they get every single shift remaining in the game. And it's not going to be the center position, no matter if it goes hard shift north twice in a row. They're going to have to try and find something and probably make a smoke run. A vehicle run would be way too risky at this moment, you have to imagine. Healing on up, just stay low, stay prone for now, and hope that everyone else, you know, makes it easier on them at the very least. Get a few more kills, weaken the opposing teams as much as possible.
Replay of that nade from Meduzi, which, despite himself being knocked down really quickly after throwing that nade, Hobbits was able to follow it up. Still 4 alive for KDF. Having 4 alive in that kind of position really helps them out. They've got numbers that they can at least use to send onto a position, but Twisted Minds also with 4 just directly below them. Good angle for Smash. He's got 5 of 6. Why not go for a few more? BBL need all the points they can get.
Oh, the second Xiaohai stands up, gets tagged in the chest, and prones back down. That vehicle doesn't deal damage, but it does remove cover, and it means that it's going to make it a little bit easier for KDF or BBL with the 2 wide off angles to potentially find a shot of a toe, a finger, a hair.
Phase 7, on to Yahoo. Na'Vi, of course, out the back, and I think Na'Vi will be in a good position to keep eyes on Twisted Minds, make it difficult for them to push onto this compound as well, especially from the south side.
They don't even they don't even need to get into the compound, Na'Vi. They can just wait for... But Yahoo can't put pressure on them until TMA are out, until KDF and BBL have been sort of taken care of. So Na'Vi can just stay on the south, hold that south line against Twisted Minds, who looks like they're going to start pushing that direction at some point. But here we're still looking to see if TMA can somehow survive this. They need to get a knock of their own, which is why they keep peeking up, but the shots from Freaks just keep on landing.
TMA doing a wonderful job in staying alive for this long, considering the position they are in. Position that would be probably impossible to get out of alive. Akari just farming the damage numbers down onto Xiaohai, will probably be revived, still behind cover. Shot landing onto Smash. Obviously for KDF and BBL both wanting to make sure that TMA cannot get out of this position. Both will most likely just hold their current positions until TMA are forced out of their position.
Yeah. And BBL, they know that it's going to be a rough push into the Yahoo compound. They want to try and collect these kills here. They can get every single kill that's available for them. Smash with another knock. Ooh. The Lulu is there for the immediate trade. And now KDF, they're actually... Where are they going? They're sending it towards the north. They want to take this fight. They don't want to push Yahoo. They want to get the kills to the north.
There's a shack. There's a shack, and there's also some decent rocks. This is not awful, but they have to deal with TMA, which finally they go down to the blue, and obviously still BBL somewhat as well. Yahoo have not been able to stop this push from the Guangdong Freaks. They're in the circle in their current position. Not only that, but you can even push further in to the shack, to those rocks on the north side of this. And this does mean Yahoo is going to be surrounded. They've got BBL on one side, Na'Vi to the south, along with Twisted Minds, and the Guangdong Freaks with a good position to the north of this compound.
Kari still with the off angle, trying to keep some pressure onto Yahoo so they can't use that high ground peak to, you know, put too much return pressure back on a KDF, but here's Thunderlost there, trying to get the lineup, trying to find the angle.
Na'Vi have taken the warehouse too, so they're not just sort of holding on the rocks anymore, they're understanding that they've got some space. Yahoo only have the 3 players, so they're not able to control the entirety of this position themselves. They have to sort of condense together. All eyes on KDF. This allows Na'Vi to be completely safe on the backside of this at the warehouse. They can really put the pressure onto Twisted Minds. The fact that BBL is still in this game is a huge effort, and they get the knock onto Shimboy. Again, they only got the 3 players, and Shimboy's in a different building. That's going to force Poonage to momentarily go for that revive. There's only really Balefrost that is keeping pressure on those outside of this position.
Thunderlost wants a grenade. He knows exactly where KDF are, and this one looks good. It's flying on in. It's not cooked, but it gets a knock anyway. That's another return knock onto Lash K.
got two more. Wants to go for the follow-up nade to get that elimination onto Lash K, who's not getting revived. Dendalos wants to just go for the push here. Akkad trying to watch. That nade just rolls away, though. Now he's actually in a really, really aggressive position and gets punished by Pubg. I think just for a moment, Dendalos got a little bit greedy, a little bit bloodthirsty, and they both fall at the same time. The Guangdong Freaks, along with Pubg from Yahoo, will finish off the two members of BBL. Yahoo, though, understanding that, of course, the Guangdong Freaks are quite wounded here. What is that angle? Hikari almost shooting out the elbow of Balefrost.
Balefrost does get away. He's able to heal up a look at Twisted Minds. They're on their own push in. They smoke off Na'Vi, and now they get themselves into their own building inside this compound. And this is phase 8. It's going to center up in the middle of all of this hard cover. It's now into Katie to try and find a way in. Only one of them is left standing.
Twisted Minds made their way in and past Na'Vi. Na'Vi's not been able to keep them out. They've got a building of their own. So you've got Twisted Minds, Na'Vi, and Yahoo all sharing the compound position. Yahoo finally dealing with the Guangdong Freaks. Big kill points, but more importantly, now they can turn their attention to the teams that have infiltrated their position.
Example with the angle. How are they going to play this one out? We know where it's going to end. It's going to end in the courtyard. School fight style. Another spray hits a lot onto the windowsill. It's another game of a waiting game right now. Who's going to peek out win?
Who's going to get a roof position? That's what I want to know. With this kind of finish.
I mean, Navi's the only team that has a roof available.
Accessible.
But it's going to be risky to get there.
But if you can get there, is that a big win condition? I think it is. I think if you're Na'Vi, I think you might have to think about that as a gamble in a way. Because if you pull it off, I think you then suddenly become the best chance to win the game. But obviously, as you said, it's risky if you get caught trying to make your way up there.
Yeah. There's only that one point of access to the stairs. Like, they could smoke it off, I suppose. But Twisted Minds would be fools to not be watching for it, just because of how strong it is.
Yep. So 4 versus 4 versus 3. Yahoo outnumbered. And right now, for these three teams, at the very least, considering where we're at here in the winners bracket, they're all pretty comfortable on the higher end of the leaderboard. There's not necessarily that pressure or the nerves of having to collect these points right here, right now. But it goes a long way. Pubg, gets knocked down by Batulans. Yet the AWM in hand. Not sure if that's the correct weaponry for that kind of fight. Molotov and the nade will not find what they're looking for, because obviously Shimboy was there to pick up the pieces for Yahoo. Mal on the stairs and looking to smoke it. Are they going for this stairs play? Are they going for the roof access?
They're hoping that the distraction that Yahoo gave to Twisted Minds is going to give them that option. More grenades go out into multiple directions.
Double smoked on the stairs. They're going for it. Rightfully so. Or have they been blocked off? Yeah, that Molotov. Look at that wonderful Molotov from Twisted Minds. They've completely denied it. The game sense, the understanding here from all three teams.
Oh, wait. Yahoo aren't just going towards the center. They're completely rotating away. Pubg is being left behind to deal some damage to Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds have very little space now, because Example has been holding it down to this window this entire time. And look at Aya. Similar situation there for Na'Vi. They have a lot of angles to work with now.
Example having that balcony is at least still somewhat of a factor in terms of a higher position. I think they've given up on that, though. All of these smokes making any sort of high ground advantage completely irrelevant, and the smokes as well. Sorry, I mean the Molotovs as well, denying all of these positions. Mal will start it off. In fact, he'll just finish it off as well, because he's gotten 2 immediately. Make that 3 from Na'Vi onto Twisted Minds. They will not even get to fight. Na'Vi have just annihilated them and might just take out Yahoo as well. Na'Vi are not messing around here at PGC. They're here to play. They're here to win. Na'Vi of old are fighting strong. Back-to-back wins.
They made that look so easy, holding TM as well as Yahoo out. It wasn't even like they had a huge advantage. It was 4 versus 4 versus 3. And yet it seemed like they were not sweating any second. Roof access or not, they were the landlords of that building, of that compound.
I wonder if maybe in hindsight you would rather let them go on the roof and try and let them silhouette be somewhat, I guess, standing out, I guess. But in the end, Na'Vi played that perfectly. They didn't overcommit. Once it was mollied off, they just didn't even bother. They knew it was being watched. They went around the backside of the building. But even going back further than that, the way they played the south side, the way they played the cliffs, really, really calculated game from Na'Vi. And I tell you what, the way they finished off day 3 of Group A, the way they're starting here at Winners Bracket, they are dangerous.
Yeah, this is a very, very scary team. scary for everyone in this lobby, essentially. They might be the team that completely just takes away the points here and takes away the top of the leaderboard right now, but one game left of Miramar. We're going to go to the desk to get us ready for the finale of the day.
It's the back-to-back for Na'Vi. They put huge points on the board, and in a precarious final circle as well, they come out very much on top. Joining me at the desk, Toby as well as Avenger. Avenger, Na'Vi blasting out of control.
The amount of control they had from that high ground and from also the utility they used, this is what won them the game. They only had one kill going into this, but they got the vast majority of the last two teams. Yahoo obviously not only being 3, rougher for them, but still Twisted Minds got absolutely wiped away from this endgame here.
It was phenomenal to watch. Na'Vi, usually the team coming into that compound, it's so hard to breach into. Yahoo gives them, we'll give them one building and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to give a building to Na'Vi because they sure as hell deleted the opponents there.
Let's take a look at the highlights from this game, and already starting things off with Danawa having a bit of a bad spell.
Smash.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's BBL that wants to contest. They've said it before. We don't want to just have the low ground. We want to have Church as well. Dynama took the fight to them. Well, they paid the price.
When you have this BBL split here, you need to have this Church. It does not work without the Church and the infantry that you're able to get up there. Tycon again, though, guys. He is the top fragger currently after 4 games. It is so impressive to see him continue after what he was also able to do in the group stage. Smash also, fantastic game, and they actually smashed this one without a pun. To be able to get into this late game in such a situation here is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. As we see, oh no, not this nade.
Oh, that's a great nade.
A sacrifice.
Onto one of your fancy teams.
Don't worry, because example's carrying me.
That's true. Like the build-up to this entire end game was really interesting to me because we just saw now all these teams coming in from the north being forced to hard speed, like full speed, sent it down towards the south. New Heavy driving across the entire circle just to die in the end of it. But back towards the beginning, southern plane path with a northwest circle to follow. At 6 minutes, no one was sitting north of Saint Martin. So it took a long time for some of those teams to wrap all the way up north. But then you get that circle followed by 3 southern hard shifts and all kinds of help break loose.
2 in a row in a lobby like this. Na'Vi putting themselves in #1 spot completely. 18 points go their way. For Yahoo, they get themselves 13. BBL with 11. And they needed those. They were having a little bit of a rougher time, I suppose. Where were they before this game?
They were far behind.
Yes.
BBL, they are in 18 now total, and so that's 7 points in 3 games.
Nice.
Obviously rough. But Na'Vi now jumping into the 51-point mark here with this one.
Jeez.
This is almost, I would say, guaranteed at this point for them to go to the final.
Yeah. I mean, even if they stop playing now, my bet is that we're sitting around 50-55 for the 8th place cutoff.
I think 60.
After this, and even then, I mean, it's phenomenal. Back-to-back wins, kills to boot as well. That is exactly what you want to have happen.
Yeah, terrifying stuff for them. I mean, not only did they place #1 in Group A, everyone considered that to be an extreme group, but now they're looking so good here as well, with Alia and Melman leading the charge. And this is exactly what we said about this team in the previous game. Melman may have only got 1 kill with not that much damage in the previous game, but he can still step up around them as well.
There's not a player that can't deliver, and right now they are all doing exactly that. It's scary to imagine a team like this can sit at the very bottom of PCS in EU, and then the tournament to follow, they come out and absolutely dumpster everyone.
The important tournament, they come out and completely trash
It's just
everyone.
wild to me how they can be this much night and day, because they're looking unstoppable right now.
Honestly, PCS7 may have been an amazing an amazing wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, doing that poorly and then coming in here, they must have been working hard.
Same case for BBL. Didn't go to PCS7.
Yeah.
They're really worried about not going to here at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Now they're here. They're doing good. I'll say this though, the control and the smoke and utility usage for Na'Vi in that game is literally what won. Offensive smokes, containing the 2 other teams, making sure they could not get out of any spots, and then making sure they obviously use some shotguns in there with some close range, but still, they had 1 kill going into that. They got 7 in the late game. They got all of it.
So not only are our veterans exciting to watch, but I think even our, in inverted commas, newcomers are kind of amazing to watch as well. We've watched, as you see the points here as well, Tycon is a prodigy of the region.
Unstoppable. I mean, he is only now of age to some extent, and coming in, taking the fight to the best of them. The way that he pretty much demolished all of United and that push on forward, that's... you're not supposed to be that good when you're that young.
Let's take a look at the overalls then. We've got ourselves Na'Vi #1, of course, 17 Yahoo. up there as well. Cerberus falls 1 place, but at the same time, Twisted Minds finds themselves in another late game scenario to keep them firmly in the top 8.
A little bit of a sponging in the top, of course, but still one good game. If you're in the bottom half, you can still get into the top 8. It's still doable here with 1 game to go for the day. Number 1.
Big names not in the top 8 just yet. New Happy, of course. We saw Overpeakers doing amazingly in Group A as well, but all these teams need a bit more traction.
And honestly, I mean, if you're a bottom team right now, the best thing you can hope for is that it's the same 2-3 teams at the top that are racking up the points, because that means the gap up to that top 8 spot won't be as far. They don't care that there's a jump up to 1st or 2nd or 3rd. They need to still be available to reach 8th.
And we're seeing that consistency from Na'Vi, from 17, Twisted Minds doing that as well. So there is the potential that the sponging continues.
And there's a lot of teams that we saw being able to do well in our group stage, and they continue to do well. On the other side, New Happy still, early days, still only 4 games. Just 6 more to go total.
All right, well, we're going to go to a break. When we return, we'll see if Svampland continues here at PGC 2022. So join us right after this for one more Miramar for the day.
Commotion as they can. Question mark now forced to be 4 in a vehicle, make their play on forward, driving straight past all of Gen G and somehow surviving while doing so. As I say that, Flood finds one of the name from Ada. Picture perfect, finds the final 3. BBL, should they be able to get the kills here, they would have plenty of room to scout their way forward. They did manage to get out of the compound that they were sharing with Luminosity, so I guess that's a start. That Molly might actually be on point too. Yep, there you go.
There it is. Nicely placed there by Code Marco. Underneath the bridge right now. Nobody really looking to third party this. Oh, now Petrichor is.
Great job.
Nicely done, Code Marco.
Don't recall having ever seen that before, but it really paid off.
They're going to stop just off to the west of that wild card warehouse. Meanwhile, TMA going to use that as an opportunity. I think they've read the situation. They know there's 2 here. Cia's going to find 1. Cia's going to find 2 as Tyloo hold the line.
Now, we know there's no one there, but little do we normally know. Oh, no, here's the Kryptonite. The Donut Kryptonite.
Oh, boy, yeah, USG, they're going to run face first into some wild cards once again, and just like last time, immediate 3-piece live on that western edge. Keep an eye on that as Ixlef comes through the smoke. He's going to find 8C, and the AUG will win that fight. And he's going to find another one. Face goes down, and just like that, Petrichor rose. Yes, indeed. And look at Tyloo. They want to get a little bit of piece of this as they are very secure in their spot as United just kind of hanging out in shacks, but the grenades aren't falling for Godmeow, unfortunately. That one will, though, and that should be 2 down.
Whoa.
1 will go down. Rella will stay alive, but there's another one coming. Flood actually just gonna, yeah, we're done. That's fine.
Tyloo and Petrichor here as well. This is the Chinese magnet, and they all want a piece of this compound.
Everybody, as soon as wildcard leaves, they're trying to send in Chaitong to take a few shots at the Petrichor row, but look at 17. They're going to find a few knocks there, as now Chaitong down the last player for Tyloo, and just like that, Pero is taken out by Show.
Improvements to the folded shield, some spawn rate adjustments for vehicles, and a collaboration with one of the best footballers in the world. All this and more as we dive into the Update 20.2 patch report. First up, the folded shield is getting a few changes based on community feedback. The inventory weight has been reduced, weapon durability increased for both guns and grenades, and it now installs in half the time. You'll also find it a bit harder to run over than before, with a vehicle now needing to be going at least 10 kilometers per hour, instead of the 1 kilometer per hour it was before. In addition, the shield can now be placed back into your inventory, and deployment can be cancelled before it finishes. Let us know what you think about these requested changes. Next up, vehicles in Erangel and Miramar are getting a slight adjustment, with some spawning more and less frequently. You'll now find more UAZs and Dacias on Erangel, and more Murados and pickups on Miramar. To contrast, we've lowered the amount of boats, buggies, and aqua rails on Erangel. And speaking of maps, this update's rotation will now include Erangel, Miramar, Tego, and Destin for all regions. Regions with map select enabled will also have the option of playing on Sanaa, while regions without will instead drop into Karakin. As usual, the ranked rotation will remain Erangel, Miramar, and Tego. This update also features a collaboration with one of the best footballers in the game, Neymar Jr. For a limited time, you can pick up several Neymar-themed items in the store. Gear up and score big. There's also a reduction in the number of multi-care packages on Tego, some MMR adjustments for normal games, new workshop skins, and more. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 20.2 is here, so fold up your shield, pack up the Dacia, and go catch a ball game. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Back-to-back victories for Na'Vi has them on the precipice of an appearance at the Grand Finals already after 4 matches. One more game to go today for the winners bracket. Of course, 5 more to go tomorrow, Cameron, but it is starting to get to maybe nervous territory for those teams towards the bottom of the standings. They need to pick their game up.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of surge from, well, surge relative to the first 3 rounds from QM, but they're going to need to continue to push that further and further, as well as a bunch of different teams as well, because yes, there is Na'Vi in the lead. They would essentially have to bomb out with 0 points 6 games in a row to not go to the grand finals.
Yep.
The other teams, like towards the bottom, that middle section is getting very, very packed. So it's not just about finding points yourselves, but also hoping that the teams in your way also drop off, and that is completely unreliable.
Na'Vi were just far too clinical at the end of that game and right now looking like one of the best teams in this tournament, along with probably 17 at 40 points. They're not too far away, considering there's still 6 more matches for them to play. Obviously, towards the bottom, we saw BBL turn some things around. Smash a large influence for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Smash was insane. If they can put him in a position to keep getting those kills, keep dealing that damage, then I think BBL are going to have a shot, but they can't have this be a one-off today. They need to end Miramar strong both maps in a row.
There's a lot of teams that need to end strong here on Miramar, and this is the end of the line for day number 1 of the winners bracket. Match 5, Miramar, final game, final chance to get some very valuable points.
Game start, match 5. Who is going to take home the last chicken dinner of the day? We had 2 in a row from Na'Vi. Can they make it a three-peat? Can they make it a hat trick? Or is another team going to enter the mix, enter the fray?
There's one thought in that if Na'Vi do go on and have another massive game, considering they're already largely qualified for the grand finals, they end up soaking points, right? Which may help out those teams towards the bottom, depending on, of course, who they're taking the points away from. Final play path for the day, and he's going to go right over Lost Leonas. Tycon, 16 kills from 4 matches played, an incredible performance, even leading above Na'Vi. I mean, Example has 10, he's second in line, and still 6 kills behind Tycon, despite Na'Vi having 2 back-to-back wins.
Yeah, it sort of shows the, I guess, the approach that, or at least the execution contrast between Cerberus and Na'Vi. Na'Vi is very much a team effort. Everyone is getting involved in some way, whereas in Cerberus, not a knock against them, but they are being carried heavily by Tycon right now. The rest of the team are, you know, they're following up strong. It's not like Tycon is the only one doing any work at all, but it is definitely a case of if Tycon goes down early, Cerberus there's going to be a lot of questions on how they can continue to perform.
They do still have Himas and Haisaki, very valuable fraggers on that roster, so it's not necessarily just meant to be the one show that they've got happening at the moment, but Tycon is just that good and in that kind of state of mind as to his performance at the moment. That's our final circle. It goes out towards the east.
Yeah, the plane path was another one that was very south heavy, so this one not being so far north is going to be not as brutal as far as rotation distances. But of course, if you're looking day trade at and overpeakers, for example, all the way in from the west side, they're not going to have a great fun time, but they can make another similar rotation that we saw from Wildcard and TMA of looping all the way up and around to hopefully find an open El Azahar sort of area. For Na'Vi, though, they're already center, essentially.
Now, since we're into match 5, already turning somewhat of an attention, obviously, to tomorrow, where we will have our final 5 matches. Day trade, 22 points, 8th place. So a couple points away from solidifying that cutoff position at around, say, the 30-point mark. Might just fall slightly below that. Keeping that in mind, if you're a tie loop, you're a question mark down the bottom, still on single digits. You know, you're almost in that position where you're going to need 60 points in 5 matches if you don't finish strong here on the final game of the day. Now, BBL, they got themselves up to 18 points, so they're in and around the action now, and all the way down to probably even Danoa on 13 points, all still well and truly within a good shot. They just have to start to find some more fortune. Overpeakers, though, the surprise for me, Cameron, 15 points, and even probably New Happier on 18 points. Both started okay, and both have kind of dropped off as the day has progressed.
I mean, coming into group stage is always going to be a challenge coming in from your region because you don't know what the lobby is going to look like. You still have to figure out, like, what's the meta of this zone? Like, how much pressure are we going to have to contend with on the edge? How much contesting for the middle are we going to be having to deal with? And then you have 15 games in group stage, and now you have to relearn all of that over again, which is why teams that start fast, start strong have such an advantage here. I don't think that New Happy, I don't think are playing particularly bad. They're just trying to find that space. Overpeakers, there have been a couple of times that we saw them a little on the back foot, maybe making some overly safe rotations. I'm thinking back to game number 1, how they played around that Razak River sort of spot. I don't know if they don't have the confidence that they started this event with, but again, we've seen so much out of those teams, and as well, every single team in this winner's bracket, because it is a winner's bracket, it's difficult to count anyone out.
Oh, 100%. As we look at Cerberus at the moment, Tycon, I think, might have the quickest rise in terms of fantasy points, I should say, in terms of his cost from 10,000, 28,000 for grand finals. I think he might just be 38,000 going into it the way he's playing. Overpeakers, though, as we were sort of just touching on them, obviously they've kind of quietened down as the day's gone on. They're in Monte Nuevo at the moment. Look, they've got a distance to travel. They're not going to get prior positions. They're going to be coming in late. I think they have to play into that a little bit more. They have to go back to what they were able to achieve on the first day, especially of the group stage, where they were so aggressive. We talked about that earlier in the broadcast. And still, they've just not quite been able to recapture that form.
The problem is, if you're trying to go aggressive, but the teams that you're trying to push on don't give you the opportunity for that first initial knock, or maybe you have been a little bit too split, find someone to be able to find someone isolated. If the options aren't there, sometimes what looks to be an aggressive maneuver is just you driving into a brick wall. So it's well and good to be looking for those opportunities, but if the defensive teams aren't giving them to you, there's only so much that you can really do, which is why it's important to have a macro playbook there to go with if a fight isn't revealing itself.
So far, no fights revealing themselves early on. 5 minutes in, nothing to really show for it.
Not a single shot fired, I don't think.
Not much of a surprise considering the nature of Miramar. No hot drops, no real contests on the map from what I can see. Most teams are not even really that close to each other either. A lot of space still, especially even though it's out to the east and even though there's a little bit of water, there's still so much landmass that is playable terrain. So many cities, so many compounds. There's still so much you can go and grab. And it's still so hard to sort of understand where the circle's going to be going. But yeah, Duckmai will open it up. With a knockdown onto Quetpot.
Oh, that distance too. Great shot.
But is this convertible? That's the question. To me, the answer's no.
Hey, I mean, style points. I don't care about I'm down with the style points for now. The Loss is there to go for the revive to allow BBL to get back to 4 strong and continue on into this round. A lot of smokes in play. That's a big investment earlier on.
Yeah.
But hey, it's worth it to get the revive.
And without those smokes, I think Haisaki did have an angle there to maybe punish that revive, potentially. So still better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to be losing 1, maybe even 2 players this early on.
Wait, why'd you drop your vehicle like that? Did not have, okay, I guess it didn't have a tire, but this is, well, either way, this is BBL running out in the open. So if they can get down to that little hard cover.
It is a distance away. I mean, these shots are very hard to land if you're Cerberus, right? So
but they only need 1.
Yeah, obviously we just saw that.
Imagine if I said that and they landed the headshot. That's okay. I mean, that would have been my show reel, but it's fine. We'll get another one.
Well, here's the replay of Duckmai's shot from that distance, perfectly aligned to Quetpa's head. But very difficult to replicate those. They happen every now and then, obviously, on Miramar especially, but not quite going to be able to convert. Still, that bit of damage done. BBL, though, I mean, really impressive from them in the last game, as we will hold on to that, because Question Mark have got Tai Lu, especially Tongs, pushing on to Phil First and a doozy. They do the right thing, throw the nade, defensive one, and then just get in their vehicles and drive away.
Tongs doesn't take too much damage. It is going to stall him out momentarily, which, as you say, defensive grenade allows Question Marks the opportunity to get away without getting shot in the back. So they can stay alive, stay up. Not as much of a spread as they would have hoped for, but it's on the edge, and shifts are, splits aren't as valuable the further away from center you are, just because of the chance of catching the zone isn't as big. Lil Ghost looking for some opportunities of his own. Cerberus might have been so focused onto BBL that they're now getting backfilled, but oh, wait a second, Haisaki is prepared for this. Lil Ghost is right in the middle of the 2-2 that Cerberus have been holding on to, which means that if completely unaware, could end up just giving himself away, but he's going to back away, not going to overcommit onto this.
Quiet day from Danoa. One of the biggest salvations for them in Group A was the Salute Hallen duo play many, many times over, but that's not something you can rely on, especially in a winner's bracket lobby. They need to be stronger as a 4, as a group, standing strong for longer. 1.5 minutes remaining here for phase 1. Again, no teams that are close by to each other. There are some shots starting to ring out across the map as everyone does converge closer towards the center of the circle, but no real fights looking to break out anytime soon.
Might just be a waiting game right now. No one's contesting KDF. Tai Lu, the team that's ahead of them, is just continuing to push on forward themselves. So the space is available. I mean, I'm looking at the map. I'm seeing some shots, some tracers of what we see on the map, but it's mostly just sort of bullying each other, yelling insults across the buildings.
Nothing really that's going to stick.
Yeah.
Na'Vi are right in the middle of all of this, Cameron. They are the red bullseye on this dartboard. off the back of 2 wins in a row. Surely they can't go for 3 at this level of competition. But hey, they've got a nice 2-2 split, good position. Center Pryor, I mean, if you're ever going to get 3 in a row, this is the way to start it off. So we're 20 seconds away from phase 2. Danoa still going for a little bit more on the rotation. Thunderloss just behind them. Will fire a few shots along with BBL from the other side of the road as well. In fact, now Danoa making their way to Cerberus. They will have to probably keep driving on by as we head into phase number 2. Anything eccentric? No. Just a bit to the north. Na'Vi will be happy with that. I imagine they may group up actually over towards Example. Daytrade on the north side will be somewhat content. Minas Generalis is really, really strong focal point for this circle.
Overpeakers with a 3-1 split. They might want to try to adjust this one. A lot of these teams on the south side obviously going to be pushing it towards the north. You already see a Hope pushing into Daytrade, who is missing a player of their own. United condensing on a wild card. And there's a big giant field here in the southern half that all these teams are rotating through, which in a way, because of lack of space available here, means that Circle 2 is technically, quote unquote, smaller. And there's this pocket in the northwest of Zone 2 that you can make a similar declaration of. So the teams that are already inside here, Twisted Minds being one of them, and then Daytrade, Yoho, everyone I just mentioned previously, are going to have to fortify themselves just a little bit extra than you would expect on a Phase 2.
So 17 looking to play the outskirts of Minas Generalis. They'll be punished by Twisted Minds for this, but it's Mel that collects actually. So thank you very much, TM. I'll take that for Na'Vi, who do soak a point once again at the top. But they are well and truly out of contention as being a team that is going to block others from getting into the top 8, right? They're at number 1. They're not really fighting for a grand final position anymore at 52 points. They're
this
very, very close.
Was this 4 deep? No, okay, no. That's 3, I think. 3-in-1 vehicle. Still very, very risky maneuver. They left Thunderloss behind them as a contingency plan, but that sort of just that play alone shows the resources that BBL are lacking. They only have 2 vehicles this early on in the game because they lost them due to the Cerberus headshot and then just the sort of domino effect from there on out. But they're alive. That's the important thing for now. Tyloo coming in from the east side, but there's no space for them to really, truly backfill unless they want to continue to rotate all the way to the 10 o'clock position of the zone up through the Death Star trench that comes west of El Azahar. And that looks to be the plan of action. Yeah, they don't want to push through Wildcard and Yoho. They're well and truly entrenched in.
Guangdong Freaks out of Impala, also pushing out on the Eastern Highway. Tyloo still further north of them, and yeah, we'll have to probably go through Al Azahar. And I think wrap all the way around.
Coming from like Hacienda angle.
Yep.
And it's free, it's open, but it's open for a reason, so it's going to be not the easiest for them, but Wildcard pushing onto Yoho. Sparking has a great angle to defend against this.
Might just get that initial knockdown and does so onto Adam. Balefrost knows that they're entering into his building. Molotov out early to try and deny him space from pushing forward, but a really good nade in response from a distance means he can at least get something from this. Waiki Kamukau, nade in hand. Really well played at the moment from Yahoo. Reinforcements arriving as well through Shimboy and Poonage. Cow with a bit of damage, but he has just left the position open for Nikus. Balefrost has played this well. Cow from behind, but immediately Shimboy has arrived in a timely fashion. Yahoo have completely dealt with Wildcard. Only one left. It's Greg's shot, and he's not there.
He's here, but on not an angle to punish this revive, and it seems that Shimboy and Sparking have figured out his location. QM, in the meantime, a little bit south of this spot. Actually, eyes on this fight happening, and while what Yoho did a good job defending from Wildcard's crash, they have had to leave their split. They are now in one singular compound, which means that Tyloo, who could have been looking for that rotation towards the west, have stalled and stopped because they saw the kill feed, they heard the shots, they were able to triangulate where this fight was happening, and they're in a position to take advantage of it. The circle continues to center up, not far away from Minas Generalis. Is the high ground, the rocks that are pseudo-center are unplayable, so it's going to shift towards likely the east.
Southeast maybe.
Could be, yeah.
I wonder if Na'Vi are about to cop a phase 4 circle shift. Intriguing development happening here in the final game. That was the push there in the replay of Wildcard, and it was a little bit messy from them in that push. Very much split between Sparking and Balefrost, who defended very, very well.
Danoa Esports now getting ready to move. They're coming in from the east. They already crossed all the way through the center of the map. dodging shots and bullets every which way. Now they got to go back to where they came from, and with just the nature of Battle Royales and the closing circle, it's going to be even less space available, so they might have to fight a bunch of these teams here on the east side.
Oh, Hallen literally rolling down the hill and is still rolling. Somehow alive though. Took a headshot for his troubles. But gets out some style points in the end, but slow behind the convoy of Danawa. Oh, and then crashes into a rock. This has been an awful, awful rotation from Hallen. So unfortunate. Blood and Kickstart will, of course, be very happy with how this has played out. Tong's getting crashed. Sia able to get the double knockdown onto Lambert, Salute, and Danawa. Oh, that was just a mess the whole way through.
Danawa eliminated. Good point grab for Tyloo. They're one of the teams that was struggling on this leaderboard. So only 3 points, but it gives them a sense of confidence. It also allows them to swing in front of Yahoo. They could have a repeat of what just happened.
Guangdong Freak still in the blue, coming out of La Bendita, pushing over towards Cerberus. CC 108. Tough shots, but landing a lot of them onto Shimboy. There's the push now onto E United. Stuns go out, so do these nades as well. Flood holding a wonderful nade from Rallo. Flood can capitalize. Oh, that was so clean and quick from E United onto Yahoo.
Greg Shot still alive. Wildcard out surviving your hoe is a wild continuation of this round over here on the southwest side. Cerberus surrounding KDF. Tycon strikes, doesn't find a knock, but he does flick onto Hikari. Well prepared for the rotate.
The game sense from Tycon.
Not even the game sense, just the aim.
Both. Why not just go with both? There's the aim that is showing through once again. Getting shot in the back though by Twisted Minds in Minas Generales. Has to just hold up for a minute from basically soloing the Guangdong Freaks. Ian will go for the revive. Haisaki with a nade in hand. He's got one more in the back pocket as well. Throws it towards the smoke. Needs to go a bit more to the left with this one. Tycon to finish off the work that he started. There's a bit more to do above though. Ian with a good position. Haisaki says hello. They will wipe them both out together. Young and old, Haisaki and Tycon deal with Guangdong Freaks.
And it's good timing as well because they still need to push towards the east to get into the zones, but mostly hardship towards the southeast. And that fight between New Happy and Overpeakers, it's not looking good for really either team. Wildcard go down. Vard now with a grenade at the ready. The last one up, put in some good work. Day number 1 of this entire tournament.
Oh, he got a large amount of damage, 86 in total. Really primed that one perfectly. Has to fall back though. As you said, last one alive. Overpeak is just a 15 points from 5 matches. It's not going to be enough to get top 8. If this continues tomorrow, they need to turn their winners bracket fortunes around. Vard obviously will just go for a rank tank, try and stay alive, get into a seamlessly off-meta position and try and catch maybe someone off guard later in one of these buildings, especially as New Happy will eventually clear their way through. Oh, that has bounced perfectly.
Not cooked well enough, but Norrens has another one at the ready. Day trade with a little bit of a spread, a little bit of a crossfire against Tyloo. But Tyloo, they need to run from the blue. They have one of the worst positions in this zone right now, in the game right now. And they're taking a lot of shots from a number of different day trade members. On the opposite side of things, Cerberus able to sneak down here on the lower side. Avoid the shots of Mr. Mines in 17.
CC 108 avoiding all of those shots from Belmont, pulls out the SLR. But also unsuccessful with that. Maybe here, okay, a little bit of damage, it's something, but Tyloo will escape. In fact, they thread the needle past Day Trade and E United holding Junkyard. But where is the finish line here for Tyloo? Where do they pull up? Do they find a ridge? Do they maybe have a bowl position here? But they also will still have Day Trade above them. So it's still somewhat of a hairy situation. Okay, they've got a shack, they've got a little ridge, and they get a knockdown onto Poochils.
Tongs with a good knock to save his team. They still only have a small little shack to play with. It's not a lot, but if you can continue to land shots like that, if the team can continue to land covering fire like that onto the enemies around them, they can try and stay alive. Back here onto the southeast side, Vard is still up. New Happy pushing room by room, compound by compound into this area. I think QM is the one major threat that's keeping New Happy from just flooding over to Vard's position.
Vard's just yeeted that flash as far as he can. Obviously, QM pushing in behind NH. Hobbit's holding back to see if he can use a bit of high ground advantage as a doozy will push in close by. New Happy not inside of the top 8 at the moment. They would not like to lose here to QM, but QM need every single point. Dead last at the moment. Nate, it is avoided. Aduzi's got another one still with a Molotov as well. He's got 4 of them, but the timing, Zipian just runs into his face and blows it to pieces. Aduzi trying to pressure New Happy, does fall. Hobbits and Phil First are the only 2 remaining now for QM. But Vard, the solo, they're at us on a live over peak as we'll get Nan.
There's no reason for Vard to stay quiet. They know that he's there. Might as well go loud if he can find a position, find an angle, and he does just that. But here, Cerberus, they get the shift, but they're out in the open. They don't have a position to properly defend from, and
No.
BBL is punishing that.
They certainly don't, but they are getting a potential revive, I think, onto Isaki. Obviously, Nan gone, so only 3 now for New Happy. TMA. The Shack position's not inside of the circle, so a pit stop for them. And a very good one by getting the down onto Hobbits. It's only Phil First left for QM, stuck on 5 points, 1 point per game. The question mark. Phil First has to get it, surely. That is the epitome of the way today has gone for question mark. Easy pickings for TMA. They get a couple more kills, but they've got United sneaking in behind them.
It's not done just yet. There's so little space to play in this zone. It's essentially a field, even though it doesn't have the textures that make us think of a field. So everyone's just fighting for these edge positions. And this compound that these teams have been fighting over isn't even in the next zone. It's just access to the high ground that's overlooking the zone.
Navi's going to win.
Honestly.
I'm going early. I know, really early, just before 21 minutes. But no one is fighting them, and everyone is fighting each other. Zipian, he falls to Vard as well. The solo effort here from Vard is exceptional. The man has all the experience in the world to just collect a bit more than this. He knows HS is here. He is almost wiping them out 1 by 1. But Ming Ming will shut down the solo player Vard. A tremendous effort. NT.
Couldn't confirm any of the kills, but he makes it hurt against New Happy. They have to spend that much time to revive. This means that United TMA can potentially get in front of him. On the north side, Daytrade versus Tyloo. Tyloo tried to stay alive for now. The blue has pushed them in, so they're right next to each other. Good grenades coming out, but Norrens is the one to find the knock.
Balmoth, he continues to try and push forward though, but he's now deep into the blue, and it's taking quite a bit of health away from him. Sia spots them all, just standing in front of that ridge line. Tongs is down. Sia as well. Big name for Poochills. They're just trying to get out of this, but also fighting as they're running behind. Tyloo is still just falling to pieces. Daytrade just want to get out. They're pretty happy with the way that actually went home. The CC-108 still alive. They lost 1, but they'll have 3 players alive, Daytrade, and they get into the next circle. Here, phase 5. There goes Tyloo, out in 10th. No placement points for them. And look at the leaderboard, Cameron. All of the bottom teams are out. This might end up being very top-heavy to close out day 1 of the winners bracket.
TMA defending its New Happy, or at least the hopefully revival. It's down to HS, and it is now down to nobody because BBL also had an angle. 8 teams remain. We're getting into the placement points now, and as you say, Na'Vi are still just sitting pretty, and they get the shift as well. It's going to have to be a combined effort from the teams remaining to try and upset them.
I don't know who's going to be able to do that. You've got a wounded Daytrade up north on the cliffs. They have to run down out in the open. United only have the duo of Flood and Kickstart. They're not exactly well equipped as a team to be able to crash a compound like Na'Vi. I think BBL might actually be the only team that might fully be able to contest Na'Vi at the end of this game, because obviously 17, Twisted Minds still fighting in Minas Generalis. They've been doing it for about 10 minutes.
It's not going to be a comfortable win for either of these teams. And look, they're immediately getting shot at. Daytrade might have an angle onto them as well. Flash does go down to Na'Vi, so that's going to alleviate that pressure just a little bit. But Logos wants to go aggressive. You know he does. He wants to get this over and done with. He's sick of the waiting, sick of the fighting. He just wants the kills, wants the death, and he's able to get the nice spray down.
Blue wanted to go for that swap, get over to the other side, hopefully to safety, but it didn't work. He still had the angle. Shado D with a double kill. Make it 3. Cerberus still have him as alive, so at least the placement point gained. 4 kills from this one, so they're getting points slowly but surely. He lands a headshot. BBL have to fire back, and they do. Then the loss, a bit of damage onto him as he still goes for it as they are rolling backwards. They might just roll into the grave. Himas has spoiled BBL's party. They're on the edge of the top 8, but they're on the edge of being eliminated in this game. Quetper and Code Marco left standing. But now they too are not in a position to fight Na'Vi. Na'Vi's the only team with all 4 players. They've got center compound. 3 in a row is looking extraordinarily likely.
BBL are going to try and make that send once again. They have no other option. The blue is at their back, and Himas is still going loud with the SLR. Can't land the shots as effectively this time around. Cromarco's getting in a position to potentially revive Thunder Lost, but another spray from range. And now the Molotov at the ready could get another knock. Doesn't go far enough.
It does clear the rock, but I don't think he's really wanting to do that. I think he wanted to go a bit further with that Molotov, and yeah, doesn't quite make the distance. 5 kills for BBL. Points, well and truly, a team fighting for top 8 going into tomorrow. Only 1 point behind Daytrade at the moment, but they are falling to pieces.
But where can Himas go? You saw that for a brief moment, the gap in front of him in the next rock, the next tree. If he was able to get that second knock, make it only Kwepa standing alive, there was an opportunity. Yep. Right now, I don't know if he has enough smokes to make that full tunnel needed. Over here, though, 17, high ground, overlooking Daytrade.
All right, so BBL will deal with Himas. They get rid of Cerberus. 17 Gaming looking to try and do the same now to Daytrade. Daytrade still 3 players alive, considering the trek that they have had to make, going down that hill, out in the open for the most part, the majority of the time, and with 17 Gaming completely peppering them from one side, and even Na'Vi potentially from the other side.
The grenade doesn't go far enough, but they know that they just destroy the vehicles. That could be the window that they have the angles onto the Daytrade members. The circle continues to favor Na'Vi. Gives a little bit of a nod to E United, but really not much at all. E United is going to be hoping to pick up a few kills here and there. They already have 6 kills in this round, but they want to get, of course, as much as they can before they eventually go out to, let's just call it, Na'Vi.
Oh, they've won. Oh, that's all right. I said it 5 minutes ago, didn't I? 3 wins in a row for Na'Vi. Look, barring a catastrophe. I will say still, BBL 3 and TMA 3 down south. It's not a given. There's still a bit of work to do for Na'Vi.
The problem is all those teams are very likely going to fight each other before they turn their attention towards Na'Vi, just because of essentially the moat of open area around Na'Vi's compound.
Ooh, flash.
17 sending it in on the Daytrade. Shouty goes down for that.
And that's going to make it very difficult now for 17. It once felt like they had somewhat of an advantage. They used all of their utility, and credit to Daytrade, their ability to survive that utility has now put them in a position where they are gatekeeping the last 2 remaining players, Lil Ghost and Show. And clearly, Na'Vi do not have an angle onto Daytrade. TMA, they do go down south. Like you said, Cameron, they will be fighting each other. This is exactly what Na'Vi want. The 2 last remaining strong-placed teams will go at each other, and 17 go into the midst of the battlefield, see what they can do. Good knockdown onto Uber from Show, but smokes are up defensively for Na'Vi. They can't go for that revive. Does this allow the likes of E United or Daytrade to push him from the north while all eyes are down to the south?
We're gonna have to see. There is always the possibility that Na'Vi end up trying to control too many angles at once and something sneaks past them. A good attempt right now for 17. Yeah, Kickstart gets another knock into Alia. This could be it. Na'Vi might not have as much control as we were hoping for. The vehicle's coming in.
And Uber's still down, so it's, well, he just got revived as soon as I completed that sentence. So 3 up now, still having to get the revive. Mel, knocked down onto Flood. That's big. Uber's back down again. Second knock, big for Kickstart, big for E United, but as I said, with Flood down, it makes it much harder for them. Finished off by Flash. Daytrade continue to show their level of survivability up to the northwest. They've still got 3 up. They're getting involved. They might still have a chance to make the cross, get over to the compound, but Alia needs to get revived. Uber's still low on health. He's been brought up again. Nade to kickstart. He's still alive. No. Mel will finish him off. E United are gone. Na'Vi edge closer to 3 wins in a row.
Good attempt by E United. They had very little to play with. It was a solid showing, but now the circle swings up towards Daytrade. This could be the opportunity, the small little chink in the armor of Na'Vi's compound hold. They're getting the revives. They still have 4 up, but the bleed out timers on a few of them have gotten not quite dangerous levels just yet, but it is something to note that could be impactful
well, if
in the fight against
again,
Daytrade.
He's going to be bleeding out really quickly.
If Lil Ghost spoils this for Na'Vi to give Daytrade the advantage here, okay, Na'Vi are immediately preparing for that. They're swinging down the south. They know it's going to be a 4 versus 1 in this engagement. They have the time to do so, so they're going to push it.
I mean, at this point, obviously, for Na'Vi, they're already going to the grand finals. It's a matter of how many points will they take going into the grand finals. Example, we'll get rid of Lil Ghost. That's 8 kills. They're up to 65. They're making an absolute statement here in the winner's bracket. This is their lobby. They are in control, looking for their 3rd chicken dinner in a row. And it's only Daytrade from Thailand that stands in their way. And they have not been able to move. Daytrade don't have the vehicles that are equipped to get them over to that compound. So they've stayed steady, they've stayed strong up north. They're still in the circle, still in the zone. Position known now for Na'Vi, and they can really just hem them in.
Problem is, Daytrade have very little cover. They haven't been able to move any far forward because the second they step out, it's essentially going to be a canvas of the sand behind them for Na'Vi to paint with their guns, spray them all down.
Well, it would take something special from Daytrade, and certainly they have more to gain from this situation than Na'Vi. Na'Vi, a team that's already well and truly on their way to the grand finals. For Daytrade, yeah, they're in a great game.
Ooh, quick little spot there. And Alia for a brief moment, perhaps. But yeah, Na'Vi, they're playing this safe. We know where the game is going to end.
Oh,
it's going to be just past the road, but it's on the Na'Vi side of things.
Well, Example's position known. Groza known. Again, Daytrade have done so well this game, considering the circumstances, but their demise, it seems inevitable. Na'Vi are just sweeping closer and closer to the road. Smokes will go out. The last bit of utility expended here from Daytrade. They need a knock. They don't find it. It's Mel, it's Example, it's Na'Vi. They've been flawless. Balmoth at this point understanding that he's got no hope, no chance. Why not just deny it? But you cannot deny that Na'Vi are creating history at PGC 2022. It is back to back to back. It's Na'Vi with 3 wins in a row to close day 1 of the winners bracket.
I mean, yes, they got circle fed a little bit, or you could argue a fair bit that game, but just how much of a level that Na'Vi are currently playing on. They gave virtually nothing to their opponents to try and work with.
Their form is scary.
Yeah.
The question is it temporary or is it here to stay for the remainder of PGC 2022? Day 3 of their group, absolutely dominated to get to the top spot. And they've started off the winners bracket in the exact same fashion, Cameron. They go into the grand finals. Their ticket has already been received. They will be there. It's a matter of who will be joining them.
Yeah, and looking at Daytrade, good performance by them, but they are going to be in that mix of teams fighting for the remaining slots. It is very, very packed in that middle section.
Oh,
the zones that we see separation in